quickly, man. That was cool. All right, we got a huge show tonight. Guys, welcome to episode 79 of the Drag Driver Pete Show presented by Summit Racing. A huge one. This is going to be a big one. We're um well, let's just go back through this. We're covering circuit updates, Big Sky Race Week, Snot Rocket, and we are packing the show with three guests. We have Zach from Cruise and Lose. Maybe he's got like a little baby, so we're going to see if he makes it. About an October event and his first 4 second. We've got Dragway Rush on here, and we've got Dane Thopmson on here to talk about the let's call it the state of the union of drag and drive. This is going to be pretty intense. Mr. Eric White, hit that intro video. Let's kick this thing off, dude.
All right, let's do it.
We're gonna pack things up and hit the road and try to make it the next day.
Hey, dude, what the heck happened there? Did it finalize or was it just on my end?
It looked like it finished.
Oh, sweet. Okay, perfect. Well, guys, listen, my name's Mike Narks. I'm the host of the Drag Driver Pete Show and Drag Driver Pete News, which are your source for news and entertainment from the drag and drive community. And 2 weekly live streams, 3 hours live every week, right here, talking about the drag and drive community. Let's see, what's shot you on? Yeah, right here. Mr. Eric White, introduce yourself. Tell them what you got going on, man.
I am Eric White. I am the co-host of both the show and the news. And right now, my main thing has been finishing the photos from the Havlicks event. We have uploaded, or I have uploaded so far, 950 photos to Drag Driver Pete, and I'm only a portion through Saturday's photos. So we're going to have a ton of photos still coming.
Yeah, that is awesome, man. Well, I appreciate that. You've had some absolute bangers in there. It's been really cool to see those roll out because, like, even though I was there with you and I heard the camera click a lot, um, I, I still haven't seen these shots. So it's pretty cool, man. I'm excited. Well, guys, you know the deal. Oh, hey, you've been doing something else too. You've been doing something else. You've been designing artwork, bro.
Oh, yep. When I'm not editing photos, I've been doing artwork for SmackDown. Of course, I've done a bunch of those. This is the latest one for the local
Mhm.
classes. I'm also doing the ones that you see rolling out for Back to the Streets. So those ones I'm working on as well. So yeah, any event that needs artwork like this, hit me up and I'll get you something going for sure.
Yeah, it's been awesome. So yeah, definitely hit Eric up. I appreciate all the work he's been doing on the backside of stuff for the SmackDown for sure. It saved me a ton of time having to create this, and then I go in and throw whatever in there. All right, well let's get to it. Guys, we can't do this without you. Our race car friends make all of this possible. You are so cool and so supportive, and we love everything about you guys. And just want to say thanks publicly right here to all of our race car friends that help us make it through this. And of course, our sponsors. We can't do it without them. We can't travel. We can't put on these great shows. We can't buy equipment and all that kind of stuff without Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Chains 3D, WAF Racing, Performer Built Transmissions, Howard's Cams, Sweet Patina, Racing Junk Classifieds, and Power Tube TV. Y'all, it just gets deeper and deeper around here. It's awesome. I love what we've got going on for 24, and there's things working for 2025 already. It's so exciting.
Yep, and we finally got some new artwork there as well. So
Yes.
we make sure that we get all of our sponsors in on there. So
Yep. Yep. That's the way it goes sometimes, man. I'm telling you. This is a shot that Eric took at the Havlicks deal, and it just really lends itself very well to this sponsor post.
Yes, yes,
Pretty
it
cool.
does.
And you're going to see some others deeper in the show as well. All right, well, guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but Summit Racing Speed Legacy began in 1968, almost 60 years ago now, as a one-man startup, and is now the world's speed shop with 4 huge facilities and 200 plus catalog editions. They feel your passion, they save you money, they deliver fast, and offer top-notch customer service for more than 1,500 brands. Make sure to download the Summit Racing mobile app for easy access to speed parts. Find them on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and on the On All Cylinders podcast for more automotive discussions, kind of like this one. From humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed. They also stand behind Drag Drive Repeat, with hoodies and t-shirts available anytime and at all the facilities. So this is pretty cool. So if you're headed to an event and you're passing Ohio or Georgia or New Nevada and Texas, you can swing in and literally buy the Drag Drive Repeat merch right there at the facility, or jump on Summit Racing, add this to your next catalog order, and $20 for t-shirts, $40 for hoodies. It's a deal. I hope we see some folks wearing these at Drag Week, which is in just a couple weeks.
Oh, for sure. We will be wearing them at least, so hopefully others are as well.
Yeah, that's right. Well, a big thing happened today.
Yeah.
Eric has
Yes,
been
it did.
pushing me for this for a long time, and I finally sat down and spent the time that it takes to do this. And guys, I built out the store. So if you go to dragdriverepeat.com, you can literally just in the top corner there, you can see letters. Just click store. We have the keychains. We have all of our decals right now, and we're working on shirts and hats and things like that behind the scenes. That'll be a few weeks. But y'all, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Eric has been on me for a long time about this, and I finally did it. We've got the 12-inch, we've got the 6-inch, and we've got a 2-pack of 3-inch decals, and then the keychain is about 4 inches long, I think 4.5 inches long there in red, white, and blue. So get all the stuff you want. We would appreciate all the support as we head into the big trip that is Drag Week, which is a flight for me and rental car for all of us, and hotels. So we appreciate any and all support provided there on dragdriverepeat.com/store. So pretty cool, man. I'm excited. I will say I'm excited to release this. We'll also be putting this up later on the website and on all the socials. So
Yeah, it
anyway,
just allows us to be able to do a couple more things that we've talked about for the past year. We can create one-off stickers and we can do all that stuff, and we finally got a place to sell them. So yeah, I'm super excited. I've only been bugging you for a little bit on this one.
yeah, 18 months, something like that. All right. Well, let's jump into the Driven Racing Oil event updates because there's some good stuff in this segment here.
All right. Driven Racing Oil is the performance engine oil that can do it all. GP1 is the ultimate oil for any race or performance application, whether launching hard at the drag strip, enduring the extreme heat of off road and circle track, or pushing limits in top fuel drag boats and demo derbies. Winning racers choose GP1. Compatible with engines from classic hot rods to cutting edge race machines, GP1's unique surface cling and high zinc formulation ensures superior wear protection, particularly for flat tappet camshafts, while solving issues like cylinder washout with methanol and ethanol fuels. Crafted from the legendary Bradford, Pennsylvania base oil and enhanced with state of the art additive packages, GP1 offers the best in protection and performance. Be sure to check out Driven Racing Oil on social media at Driven Racing Oil on Facebook and Instagram, or shop now at drivenracingoil.com.
Yep. And I love this segment. This is a hard hitting part of all of the stuff coming up, all the events that are happening. And dude, are they having a Labor Day sale? Are you serious?
Yeah, I kind of snuck this in while we were chatting before because I saw this just pop up. They are having a Labor Day sale. Starts today through the 2nd.
Yes.
25% off all web orders.
Wow.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah, that's huge, huge. And I just saw Zach pop in backstage, so that's exciting as well because he's going to be up here in just a moment. Well, up first, obviously, guys, the Circuit 2025. I've been working diligently behind the scenes in my little bit of spare time. We're still, what, 8 months from this event. So things are happening. So we released on Saturday morning about this, but I'll just quick recap. We are increasing from 150 cars to 200. We are racing at Tulsa, driving to Mocan along 66, and then back to Tulsa. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're having a racer pre-party that you just need to plan to be there. April 3rd, just plan to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's going to be there. Returning racers and their 2020.
Oh no. Oh no. Are we back to losing you? All right. So let me get back to where he was here. So, yep, he mentioned that we're increasing the number of cars. Returning racers and their co-pilots get the discount. Early entry of $250. That is going to be October 31st at 8 a.m. It'll be open for 24 hours. Racers that registered but didn't make it in 2024 will get early registration November 1st from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. That entry is going to be $300. And early listers will have registration open November 1st at 2 p.m. until November 2nd at 10 a.m. Eastern. The entry is going to be, again, $300. And then after all that, public entry will begin November 2nd at 10 a.m. Again, $300. We've got new class. So there's going to be a new class called the Tailgate class, which is going to be sponsored by Revved Up Laserworks. Again, who does our trophies and everything for the circuit and for PRI for the Drag and Drive World Champion. This is going to include a top 4 shootout on Sunday for an additional trophy. So it's going to be a class. You're going to do your ETs. Mike definitely has more details on the rules around this. So if he gets back in here shortly, I'll let him kind of talk about those. But it's going to be its own class. And then at the finish of it, there's going to be a top 4 shootout. And the top 4 will be determined by the Friday, Saturday average. Again, 2 passes per day. So that's 4 passes for the average. So big shout out to Travis Wise for coming on board. Obviously, Travis Wise from Revved Up Laserworks. And then we've got Big Sky Race Week is happening. Big Sky Race Week 2025 is happening, and Austin has told us that he is going to up that to 200 cars. So 200 cars for Big Sky Race Week 2025. That's going to be huge and super exciting for Big Sky Race Week. Obviously, that event is out in Montana. That was a cool event. If you didn't get to see those photos, there was some awesome shots of the cars driving through the scenery there. It was super beautiful.
Dude, 2 weeks. 2 weeks was great.
Guess who's back?
Yeah,
back again.
We've been great for 2 weeks. Now I'm all anxious and nervous about this. All right, well, yes, let's bring on Zach because I want to talk to him about the about all the fun stuff that he's going to be doing at at Cruise and Lose in October. But real quick, I want to read the segment on WAF Racing, and then we'll bring him on. Sorry, I cannot believe that happened. It's we've been great for 2 weeks. WAF Racing is a collective of engineers, racers, and hot rod enthusiasts who have come together in one place to create. With passions for racing, hot rodding cars, and bikes, both classic and new, you just never know what we may be working on. Creating custom parts, tools, and electrical gadgets is just what we like to do. You never know what this eclectic group may have up their sleeves. Check out WAF Racing at WAF-racing.com or on their social media. Obviously, parts availability is super cool. They got this stacker deal for Holley carburetors. Just slides right in. I love this thing. And then obviously the thing that kind of set them on fire here was the carburetor toolbox, the Keep Carbs Alive toolbox. I love this thing. Has your jets, has your screwdrivers, has your wrenches, all that kind of stuff that you need is right there in the one. And then of course the topper for your carburetor to put your spark plugs and put all your jets and all your stuff in there and the screwdriver that you can work on. Dude, super cool. Love Chris and the team over at WAF Racing. All right. let's bring on Zach because I want to talk about a few things. First, the reason, if you guys will remember, he was on a couple months ago, maybe, talking about a 4-second pass and how close he was, and we made a deal then that if he got his 4, we would have him back on the show. And so you got your 4. So tell us just real quick recap who you are, what event you host, and then tell us about this 4-second pass.
All right. Well, I'm Zach Slavin. I help host Cruise and Lose with Tyler Maggart and Landon Jensen. We've been doing that, oh God, I think 3 years now. I might have that wrong, but that's who I am. And I guess, yeah.
Well, dude, tell us about this 4-second pass and what you were in and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've been working all summer for a 4-second pass. I got this car together basically this time last year and got it tuned, and I hurt the sprag in the transmission like the third pass in it. So I basically waited all summer and winter to get back out there, and I've been struggling. I mean, lots of 5.0s. I probably have a mile-long paper slip of 5.0 passes laying around my house right now.
Ouch.
But yeah, it's 5.0, 5.0, 5.0, 5.0, and then finally went down there and met my buddy Kevin Jewer at the Flying H, and first pass off the trailer at 496. So that's pretty
wow.
And
yeah, that gets down.
The next pass, I turned it up, I thought, but I had been messing with the tune too long, and I think the low battery voltage, it didn't take the tune because I had to jump start it. And then I went a 499, and then I turned it back up, and I went it was a 497 the first pass, and then I went a 496.5. But I don't know why, because it power wheelied and felt way cooler, but it didn't go any faster.
Well, up isn't as fast as out, but it sure does look way cooler.
Yeah. Then that pass also, I ran it out the back, or ran it to the limiter, which was 5.6 seconds into the run, and it went a 794 at 140. So
what? Wow, dude, that's quick.
I felt pretty dumb coming back to the staging lanes. I'm like, if I just got myself kicked out of here because I did that, I'd be mad. I got my NHRA license and everything, but it's an 850 cert cage, so.
Yeah, you're like, I didn't know, man. Sorry.
Yeah, felt good. I didn't know.
Yeah, hopefully they'll give you one. You're like, with the way it wheelied, I thought it'd be 850.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, congratulations to you, sir. That's pretty stellar, man.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy in a world of, low 4-second, high 3-second small tire cars, but for a heavy true street car that I built in my garage, it ain't too bad.
I think people get it twisted. 490s is really, really fast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not used to fast stuff, but compared to my 600 horsepower setup, it feels like the world's coming apart when all the boost ramps in. So she's a heavy girl. It's about 3,400 pounds with me in it. So it's a lot of metal to get moving.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Well, what else happened in your life?
Well, actually, I think about a week ago or two, or I guess, let me say, actually exactly a week ago, had my first boy. So first kid came out.
That's exciting. Yeah, congratulations.
So I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep right now, but that's all right.
Oh, yeah. You'll get that for sure.
Yeah, just wait.
No.
It gets better.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, the car's pretty cool because it's built with mainly people that sponsor Cruise and Lose parts. So it's got Force Performance turbochargers, a Wishman Performance engine, Petska transmission. There's a bunch of other stuff on there, but it's pretty cool to be able to use the people that support you.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Well, speaking of Cruise and Lose, you've got an update for an event coming soon.
Yep. We're doing what we like to call Cruise and Lose Streetcar Showdown. It's going to be a little mini one-day event, just kind of something we threw together to have fun, and we're going to try a few different things. One thing we're going to do different is with the route. Normally we give people maps, but we're going to try something just to see if people like it. We're going to give 2 checkpoints, but it doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there and come back. And we're going to see how that goes. And part of that reason is why we're doing that is all 3 of us promoters are going to try to bring all of our cars. So we're going to try to bring 3 cars and try to make the trip. Well, if I'm working on my turret on the side of the road, I won't be able to answer direction questions. So
Nice. So what are the route stops then?
We're keeping those secrets so far. We're trying to do it, or try to find 2 cool checkpoints that there's 2 good routes so you can do it reverse or the regular way. So we're trying to, and that's been a challenge. Like, we've found a couple places, but when you try to get the return routes, it's not cool. So
Gotcha.
looks like we may have lost Mike again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he might have froze.
Another couple other things we're doing with that is we're going to add junior street, and we kind of have an agreement with the track that we're going to do junior street cars for free.
Okay.
So we're hoping that kind of brings out some family members and get some people out. And we're thinking if we got enough, we're going to hopefully bracket race them and actually bracket race them down instead of actually do the time slips. But for the rest of the classes, we're going to do 650, 750, 850, and unlimited. And we're going to try something where you have a limited amount of time to get your first slip in and then your second slip in. So hopefully, let's say the track's live from, 2 to 11 we're going to make you turn in your first slip by 5 or something like that. So,
okay. That should be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be different. We're planning the cruise to be 50 or 80 miles. I mean, that's kind of the goal.
Okay. So basically, it's just going to be a 1-day, start at the track, hit a couple route stops, and then finish.
Yeah, it's kind of an extravagant, like I would like to call it, is an extravagant True Street cruise with other classes. So it's just going to be kind of just a fun little event. Maybe just see how it goes. See if people like the 1-day, just a little fun thing to do. So.
Yep. So are you going to have the track rented yourself, or is this going to piggyback off?
It'll be piggybacked on another event. I don't really know exactly what event they're having, but it's I better find that out. I can't let the people not know what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. But that's always good because, like we talk about all the time, the benefit of that is you're introducing drag and drive to more racers. There's going to be local people at the track, and they're going to see guys coming in with cars that have license plates that are going to go on a cruise afterwards. So it's always good when we can do that and kind of expand that out to other people.
Yeah, no, it's cool because a lot of them people, they really do appreciate the differences in cars, and a lot of the people that normally just have race cars, it encourages them to come out. So
I don't think that we hit on it, but how many people, or what's your registration going to be for how many cars?
So it's going to be 80 cars. I think we're at registration's open. I think we're around 60 right now.
Okay.
$100. Going to do payouts and all the stuff that we normally do. There's actually a race that I've raced in, and this is why we picked this date. It's called Minivan Mayhem, and basically a bunch of rednecks buy caravans and put nitrous kits on them. And I personally have sprayed an 06 Caravan to a 1440 at 98 mile an hour. It would have went 13s, but it was spinning forever. It went a 2,460 foot.
Wow. I mean, that does sound like a good time.
I'm trying to convince a bunch of the minivans to come on. If we can get enough of them, we're going to make their own class. So.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's awesome. Okay, sorry, I'm back. What a just kidding. Yeah, don't go back over. Were you guys talking classes? Minivan Mayhem sounds like a blast.
It really is. It's probably one of the most fun things I've done. I don't know. Like, you take a Caravan that makes 180 horsepower and hit it with a 150 shot. It feels like it's coming apart.
Yes,
it probably is.
I actually sprayed one with a 200 shot, and it went so lean it almost turned off. It wouldn't blow up though.
Wow. Dude, that's why minivans are the best.
We've actually never we haven't broke any transmissions or axles in them, but I have blew the head gaskets out of one so hard it wouldn't start.
Had
free
no
spun on the starter after.
That's
funny.
awesome. Well, did you guys talk about the driving distance?
Yeah, we're going to try to do 50 or 80 miles is the plan. It's going to be a short little drive. Like I was talking to him, we're kind of calling it an extravagant True Street cruise. So
Yeah,
just kind of see if people like to cruise your cars and come back and race it, one day event thing, just to see.
yeah, I dig it, man. I think that makes a lot of sense. I love that format. And again, I think I did hear Eric say that that's great for just getting new people into the sport.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the coolest thing about this is a lot of the people that come to our event, and it's not so much now, but they've never been to any of the drag strips, never even knew they were there pretty much. They just heard that they can come cruise their cars and race, and they came out. So,
Right. Awesome. Well, Eric, do we have anything else for him?
No, I think we hit it. Otherwise, I would just say let everybody know where they can go and register, because you said registration is open. So let them know where they can register for this event.
yeah, just go on Facebook. We have Cruise and Lose Public, and then you can find one of us on there. And then if you need any videos on it on my YouTube channel, 308 Racing, I have some videos posted of Cruise and Lose there. So if you get curious.
Perfect.
Awesome. I'm going to put that in the notes now for the Cruise and Lose Public group to register. Sweet.
Perfect.
All right, Zach, thank you so much. Congratulations on that new baby, man. That's life changing, dude. It's life changing, man. Congratulations.
Yep. You guys have a good night. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. We'll see you soon.
Yep. See ya.
See ya.
Bye bye. How fun, dude. I'm telling you, we've talked about this a lot, but single day events, I think, are the next step into, bringing some people on. And I think you have to have an understanding of it's almost like a long True Street drive. That's a great way to put it. Cause I'm telling you, 50 or 80 miles is going to get some cars that they thought were street. They're going to be surprised that they are actually not.
Yeah. And I don't know if you caught that he mentioned that he was going to try to do kind of like a time where you got to have your first slip turned in by a certain time and then your second slip turned in by a certain time. So thought that was kind of unique as well.
Yeah, I like that. And that's, man, again, we have this discussion. We're going to have it later with Dane is the, like, everybody's trying to figure out one to be different, not all be the same event, but then at the same time, figure out what does work. Just because it's always been this way doesn't mean that's the way it's always needs to be. So,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, pretty cool. All right. Well, let's jump in here.
I think we got Molly Motorsports section next. Yep. All right. Attention high performance enthusiasts and racers, meet the Molly Motorsports Power Pack Kit, your ultimate solution for power packed performance. The Power Pack pistons are either made from 4032 aluminum alloy to allow for tighter cylinder to wall clearances and improved temperature stability, or the 2618 alloy to allow for increased detonation resistance. Tailored for various engine families from small block Chevy to Volkswagen and Audi, Molly has you covered. What sets them apart? It's their forged pistons, Grafal coating, and phosphate treatment for peak performance and durability. Elevate your ride with Molly Motorsports, where performance meets precision. Unleash the power within. Visit mollymotorsports.com for more details. And for all our podcast listeners, Molly is spelt Mahle.
Yep. Love the team at Molly. And we're going to talk about them here in a little bit too, because Dane runs Molly Pistons in his project cars as well. All right. Well, let's bring Mr. Chris in from Dragway Rush himself.
Hello there.
Mr. Chris.
Hey, how you doing?
I want to say first, we're going to get into some questions here in a minute, but I love your logo. I love the logo. It's super cool.
Oh, thank you.
Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody who you are and tell everybody a little bit about your event and how it got started.
My name is Chris Kabinski. I'm a second generation bracket racer. My son actually runs a junior dragster. So I noticed the one thing you were questioning was how did it get started, and also how many drag and drives have I done? Maybe surprised to find out I haven't done any yet. But I've been following it for a long time, all the way back since the first drag week. And I've always liked the idea of having an endurance aspect to go along with drag racing. Besides drag racing, I'm a pretty big fan of like rally and endurance sports car racing too. I've always thought that was cool, and it's like I wish somebody would combine that. And Hot Rod did, and I've been watching it blow up kind of ever since. And I was sort of just waiting for one to show up in my area, and it just sort of never happened. And so eventually I started talking with the owners of Grand Bend and St. Thomas, and saying, like, you know, we need something like this, especially after seeing the other two Canadian events pop up there, Miles of Mayhem and the BC Drag It Challenge. I'm like, how come the West Coast is having all the fun? We got to do something about this.
Yeah, and there's not really ever been any up that way. I mean, I think Drag Week went to Cecil one year, which is probably still how far from you? 500 miles or something crazy like that.
Yeah. We've had Hot Rod Power Tour come pretty close, but I don't think drag. Well, did Drag Week hit 131 at one point?
Yeah, I guess that is closer to you.
Okay, that would be the closest. Fun fact: that track should have been right down the street from me too. The owners of that track were trying to build one about 10 minutes away from my house, and my government at the time was just like, "We don't like drag racing. Go somewhere else." So that's the other problem we kind of have to deal with. That is, you never know what you're going to get with hosting an event like this, especially with sending 51 plus cars through some small towns.
Yeah.
It's nice picturesque small towns. Some towns will welcome you with open arms and be like, "That's awesome, do a burnout," and some other towns will probably absolutely hate us.
Well, the good thing is you can just go through there one time.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
We're leaving. We're out of here.
Yeah. Hey, look, you drive by, look at all the pretty stuff, wave, and carry on.
That's awesome. Well, give us a rundown of the tracks you are visiting.
So we'll be starting at Grand Bend Motorplex up in Grand Bend. It's right along the coast of Lake Huron. And we'll be traveling down same day to St. Thomas, where we'll be running in the evening. Then we'll have our overnight stop where people can hit a hotel or whatever they need to do. We come back to St. Thomas in the morning to check in, and we'll continue our drive back up to Grand Bend on Saturday and run there one more time.
Very
nice.
Cool.
I love the 2 tracks one day deal. That's very hard, and it's awesome.
It may be a challenge for both me to organize it and the drivers, but it was more or less out of necessity, actually. What it seems to be working out and turning into a cool, different thing for the event. But it's just a case of, even though we're on, latitude, longitude wise, we're about the same as New York and Michigan. We're smack dab in the middle between the two, but we still have a pretty short season. And being that Grand Bend is also on the lake, even when it should be summer there, sometimes it just all of a sudden turns into winter. You can get rain or just a cold wind at any time. So we do have a short season, and we really have to try and cram an event like this in there. And being that we're not really around the whole day also makes it difficult too for the track operators themselves.
Gotcha.
So that's just where we landed.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Well, let's talk a little. Let's talk about the route stops. What do you have planned for that?
Similar to the cruise and lose there, we're kind of keeping that tight to our vests here.
Gotcha.
All I'm really telling everybody is the distances. Our first day is about 185 kilometers. Second day is about 165, so 350 total. It's about 220 miles, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah, we're sending everybody on as many non-gravel back roads as we can. We want to send you to all those little towns and all those little sites that you wouldn't normally see. If I just told everybody get to the next track as quickly as possible, like everyone's just going to hop on the highway and they'll be there in 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, those back roads and small towns are some of the best parts of a drag and drive. Getting to see places that you would probably not hit because, like you mentioned, you would just take the quickest route and bypass all that. So definitely cool opportunities to check out some different places.
Yeah, so we'll be hitting all the back roads we can. It's going to be like a turn-by-turn navigation kind of thing, which is a lot to set up, and I know a lot of drag and drives don't do that because it is so much to set up and the distances involved, but I have to admit I actually had a really good time even just discovering some new roads that I have never been down myself.
That's awesome. Any last-minute announcements?
I've been getting bombarded with questions, and it's probably going off now, but I think everything's been kind of taken care of until it won't be. But you know what? I'll do one thing then instead of an announcement. How about I show off this is going to be our Grand Champion trophy, which was donated to us actually by one of the racers.
Awesome.
He's an engine builder, and so he threw this together with some spare parts. Man, it's awkward because it's large. There we go.
Oh, how cool is that?
Fastest streetcar, period.
I like that.
Connecting rod, and he hollowed out the top here so you can put your favorite beverages in there to celebrate. This will go to the fastest average of the whole event.
That is cool.
First time showing that off.
Awesome. That's going to be awesome. Looks like we got Jake here saying he's going to be racing in the Dragway Rush and can't wait. It's going to be his first drag and drive.
Yeah. We have a pretty good mix of a lot of first timers, which is awesome. But we also have quite a few experienced drag and drivers from other events, including I got one guy who was there for one of, if not the first, one of the first drag weeks.
Oh,
so
really?
He's coming along, so I can get a little litmus test from some of these guys and be like, how good are we doing?
Yeah. How many cars do you have registered?
51 cars.
51?
We have 100 people. I don't know. That might be a different thing that we're doing with our event too, is I decided I want to get as many people involved as possible, even if it's just dragging your friends along. So the entry fee is per car. There is no limit on spectators you can bring with you in the car. I said, basically, if you have seatbelts, bring them. So I have a guy coming with Chad. He has an 87 or 88 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham with an LS swap. And he is loading that thing down with as many people as he can cram in there.
Wow. No, that should be interesting. I'm glad you said that they got to have seatbelts because I could see some craziness happening if you just said per car, people loading up.
Oh yeah, then it would be like all the people like sneaking in the drive-in movies back in the day. There, open the trunk, and it's just all like, "Hey, I got your race fuel." It's a little cramped.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. So would you take anyone if they show up on day one, or are you completely sold out?
We have closed registration mostly just because I've been trying to get everything organized and prepped. So everybody involved is getting one of those little special edition little VHS stickers for the event. Those are only for the racers, as well as a T-shirt that is racer specific to everyone who has signed up. So that way they get something special. And then we have a bunch of other trophies and awards, and just I'm trying to have as much fun with it as possible. We have some special awards to give out. Like I got whoever I already showed off the fastest average. We also have an award for the slowest average, as well as a few other little things like that.
Where's Stoney at? He loves that award.
I was already showing off the other one. The other one's unfortunately too far away. I'm still trying to throw it together. But the slowest average, I actually went down to the Tractor Supply there, and it is going to be an actual slow-moving vehicle triangle with our logo and everything on it. And that way you can put it in the back window of your car when you're done the event there.
That is a great idea.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's
all right.
A good one. Wow.
I'll definitely be posting as much as I can with all the trophies and racers and everything on Facebook. Instagram is probably where I'll be the most active, just because it's really easy to just go live or post stories like crazy in a big loop. So it's all just Dragway Rush on Facebook and Instagram right now. So
awesome. Well, we'll definitely be looking out, and we'll be sharing whatever photos that you post as well.
Awesome. Oh, and one last thing before I go. just because I want to thank my sponsors here real quick. I only got 2 of them, but they've helped out a lot. Lyuna 625 and the Garage Gym and Fitness in Langton, and also our photographer Jessie will be coming along. She'll be taking shots in the pits, on the track, on the street, wherever she can point her camera.
Is she going to be posting those on the Dragway Rush page, or does she have her own page?
She does have her own page. It's and I'm gonna forget it now. It's Jess S Photography. Anything she posts, I'll definitely be sharing on Facebook anyway. So
okay,
it'll definitely get over to the page.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you want to talk about the event?
I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. I've posted some
I'll
events
say one thing
before,
for him.
so we'll see. This is definitely the biggest.
I'll say one thing for him. Be patient.
Oh, for sure. That's one thing I've learned with some of the smaller stuff is, and like I said, it's a learning process. It's going to be for me and also some of the racers too. We got some guys I think who have just all they've really done is gone to the local test and tune. This might be their first real race or event sort of thing. So hopefully that drags a lot of people out to not only more drag and drives, but even just to the local tracks and helps boost their numbers as well.
Oh, 100%. Awesome. You got anything, Mike?
Yeah, regional events are the gateway drug.
Oh, definitely. I'm hoping that if this goes well, then I can finally get back out into the garage myself and throw something together for a drag and drive. But my son's got a couple years left in junior dragster, and those things eat through the pocketbook pretty well.
Well, sounds like maybe you should start building him a drag and drive car then.
He's already talked about that too. We're already just trying to throw something together for him to get to his part-time job and to high school. So he's like, I'll just race that. I don't care how slow it is.
There you go. Everybody starts somewhere.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, one more time, let everybody know where they can follow everything on the event so they can stay updated with it.
We are Dragway Rush pretty much everywhere. We're on Instagram and Facebook right now if you search us up. I do have a YouTube channel, which we might post some stuff after the fact, kind of like a roundup of the event. Also because Instagram doesn't like me putting music on my stuff, understandably. You can also follow my personal Instagram at 1320 Canuck, and that way I can throw some music all over the racing that happens this weekend, because that's basically what I like to do on Instagram when I'm not doing Dragway Rush stuff. So,
gotcha. Well, good luck, and thanks for coming on tonight.
Well, thanks for having me on, and I'd like to thank you guys too for all you do for Drag and Drive. And
we appreciate that for sure.
Maybe we'll run into each other somewhere, because
sure.
Obviously I'm too busy doing Canadian Drag and Drive stuff. So if I go do one, it's probably going to be in the States somewhere.
Sounds good.
Bring it on. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Chris.
Guys.
Thanks. Eric, am I delayed a little bit? Is that the struggle we're going to have with my phone now, because my internet is not coming back?
Oh no. Yeah, I think a little bit. Do you have Bluetooth earbuds in, or are you just right off the phone?
Nope. Yeah, just right off the phone. Yeah, I didn't bring anything out here. We've been great for 2 weeks, man. 4 shows. We've been awesome. Heaven forbid we have a chance here. So I guess it is back to finding Starlink or T-Mobile or something as a hot spot. So.
Yep, I think you're just a little bit delayed, so I think we'll have to have some long pauses between everything so we don't talk over each other.
Well, we can deal with that for sure. We've done that before in the past. We'll, do you want to lead this next little part here? And we'll get into some of the next stuff.
Yep. So we didn't show these while Chris was on, so I apologize. So we'll go ahead and show. These are some of the trophies it looks like that he's got. So we saw the one that he showed for the fastest car period, which was pretty cool. And then the stickers that he had mentioned, the VHS tapes, those are super cool idea. I really like that as well.
Yeah, I like the pilot episode idea. That's really neat.
Yep, for sure. So again, that is our Molly Motorsports segment. So usually we do the Molly Motorsports Co-Pilot Spotlight. So that is available on the website. As always, we want you guys to go fill that out so that we can hear about all the awesome co-pilots. And thanks to all of our race car friends. Thanks to you guys in here making comments. Thanks to all of our guests we're having on tonight. We're gonna have 3 guests tonight, so it's gonna be awesome. You guys keep us going and doing this week in and week out. And of course, we can't do it without our sponsors: Summit Racing Equipment, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Chains 3D, WAF Racing, Performabuilt Transmission, Howard's Cam, which I'm wearing the new Howard's Cams t-shirt today. Sweet Patina, Racing Junk, and our media partner, PowerTube TV. And the gentleman's agreement.
That's awesome.
Gentleman's agreement is we are going to keep doing this on our end. We just need you guys to like, subscribe, share all of our stuff so that we can grow what this brand that we're building, this Drag Drive Repeat. We've said it multiple times. We're so close to hitting 100,000 total followers, subscribers, whatever you want to call them, across all of our platforms. So we're going to keep doing this. We just ask that you guys do that part.
Yep.
And then PowerTube TV, obviously we have exclusive content that we give to PowerTube TV, so you can watch replays of these podcasts on there as well, and those exclusive content that we provide them. So rev your engines up with PowerTube TV, the ultimate destination for automotive entertainment. Stream for free on the web, Roku, mobile apps, and more. Catch replays of our show, plus exclusive content from other top creators, featuring classics like Pink's and Pastime, plus original new shows. PowerTube TV isn't just a platform, it's a community. Join the Content Creator Development Program, which is what we are a part of, and be part of something special. You can find more at watchpttv.com.
All right, I'm going to give it a shot here. Whoa. Let me get this.
Bro,
No worries, technical difficulties.
man, I hate it, dude. I hate it. That's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy. It's
I think you should keep your other one up just in case you have to bounce between them.
right.
Larry here saying, go support these guys. We got to get Mike better internet. I mean, it's been wild. For 2 weeks, we've been good. And prior to that, I mean, we were kind of like this, but I feel like tonight's might be even a little worse. I think he's already froze up once again. So I'll go ahead and keep rolling along. This next segment is our Howard's Cam community segment. Again, thanks to Howard's Cam, I got this sweet new shirt. We're going to show pictures of it in a second, but I am going to jump in and go ahead and play this promo video quickly.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Harris from the Monoxide Podcast. Real quick, Howard's Cams was founded as a racing cam manufacturer almost 80 years ago when Howard Johansson created Howard's Power and Racing Equipment in 1945. Howard's Cams has always used on-track experience to design the most powerful designs, and today they have an even greater group of experienced racers in circle track, drag racing, road race, mud bog, and marine. They use all this input plus the most advanced computer software to design the most competitive race-winning products. From pioneers in drag racing and oval track to cutting-edge marine development, Howard's Cams is at the forefront of the industry. So make sure to reach out to our friend Luke B for your next valve train upgrade.
Absolutely.
Hey, that lasted a long time.
Yeah, you got about 10 seconds, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. What's crazy to me, I saw Larry's Fro's comment there. I mean, I'm a mile from the Walmart headquarters. I'm literally a mile. I have no idea what happened there. So it's been fine at the house all day. Anyways, all right, well, let's get to it, man. Congratulations on the Howard's Cam stuff. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I am wearing the shirt that's on the bottom there. It's got the the Howard's Cam logo on the front, and on the back it has this Torque Monster. I love this T-shirt. It's such a cool T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I hope that same shirt's in the mail to me. We'll see what Luke B got, and he's got a Summit Racing Drag Driver Pete hoodie headed his way.
That is awesome. And then the top is obviously a Howard's Cam hoodie. These are great for wearing to events. We appreciate all the merch that our sponsors send us, and then we get to promote their brands not only when we're at events, but just every day as I'm going to work and around town. I could wear these sponsor merch.
Yeah.
So tell us a
I'm
little
going to
bit about
bring
this
up
next
the
note
other
here.
screen. Oh, dude, listen. So F Cancer Racing has an awesome channel, and they are basically bringing all of the stuff. Sorry, I'm trying to get my notes pulled back up here. So they did a full 45-minute video about the. Did I not put that picture in there? Nope, I sure didn't, did I? Yeah. So what is Drag and Drive? And they've done several of these. It's Joe Haney and his wife, and they've done a bunch of Drag and Drives. So this is a great. I mean, it's like 43 minutes there. You can see of what is the Drag and Drive to them, what it means, what it does, who all the friends you meet, all that kind of stuff. It's great. There's a lot of tips and tricks in there. So it's pretty cool to see other folks just leaning into that, and they're providing valuable content to everybody about what is a drag and drive, why it's important, and how they make it work, essentially. So I figured we would shine some light on them this week.
Yeah, that's super cool. I did share the link to that video in the comments.
Yeah, awesome. That's F Cancer Racing is the name of the channel.
All right, and this next one here.
Oh yeah, this Harvey's Hack Shack. Y'all listen, this has my heart right here. I've really been back and forth on what to do as far as do I buy an RV? Obviously, I saw Rob and Christy Lipinski's small trailer at Race Week, and that kind of has my brain turning. And then I come across Harvey's Hack Shack, who is building this for Race Week to take on and pull behind their truck there. And I don't know. I think this is what I'm probably going to end up doing for a first round. I think this build out here just really it makes sense in my mind to be. I can pull it with my old truck. I can pull it with the Narcs cart. I can pull it with a small SUV if I ended up with one of those, things like that. And the inside of this obviously is bare bones, but it's going to work amazingly well for them and give them a spot to stay, which, if you spend $5,000 building one of these, it takes a lot of hotel rooms to make up for that. But then at the same time, you kind of have something that looks really cool behind your really cool looking truck. So I thought that was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's going to be super cool. And that's such a cool truck. It's going to be cool to see what that camper looks like at the end.
Yeah, and then they're also looking for race car stickers for the camper windows. So if you have race car decals that you want to send them, look up Al Harvey on Facebook and just, I sent him a message today. So he's going to have a Drag Driver Pete decal that's going to go on one of those windows, and it's just going to look cool as we see these in future events and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely. That's super cool. I'll have to get a hold of them myself.
Oh yeah, they need an 815 sticker for sure.
Yep, that's gonna happen. So some other news. This is pretty wild. The Snot rocket has sold.
Blows my mind, dude. Really blows my mind. Well, I'll let you read it in case I lose connection here.
So on August 9th, which is, what's that, 12 days ago, Brett had posted that racing season is approaching and I can't freaking wait to hear this car rip again. The next month will be crunch time to finish the summer updates on Snot Rocket. we will be rolling out with a group of killers, FL2K, presented by Brian Crower, Street Car Bragging Rights, World Cup Finals, Import versus Domestic, then Mod Nationals, all within 6 weeks. And then on August 18th, he posted it for sale and had accepted a deposit in 3 hours.
Yeah, I thought this car was super cheap. 65,000. Bought it as a roller with no drivetrain, but I think it did include the rear axle stuff. I feel like that's really cheap.
And did you see that it's going to be an LS powered engine that's going into it, or a Chevy powered?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see what they've got going on. And so with Motion making the post that it's going to be Ace Racing Engines, of course, I had to message our buddy Stefan Rossi and say, hey, tell us more, please, what's going on. Sorry, that's a picture of Dane there. I didn't put a picture of the engine in there. So Stefan Rossi at Ace Racing Engine says it's going to be a billet Noonan block, cast CID head, Winberg billet crank, aluminum rods, Ross pistons, Manton shaft rockers and push rods. It's dry sump. He said, I'm not going to divulge cubic inch unless the customer eventually says it's okay. The engine was ordered about 6 weeks ago and should be ready in November. Said the engine was ordered for another car until the customer saw Brett's car come up. I thought that was crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, for
that's
sure.
Pretty wild. And they said it will be built for. Yeah, he said it'll be built for max effort class racing in LDR and also drag and drive. Since it's a multi-purpose engine, he said he's not going to divulge in what will change between drag and drive and class racing setup. And then he said, I kind of also don't want to give that information out either. He said, but the aim is, listen to this, 380s in the, and this combination will go 370s in a lighter chassis. Says he has no worry about doing it. Crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's intense, man. I love it. I love that we're going to see, obviously, this car continue to be built. 2.0 is just a continuation of what 1.0 was. 1.0 went into the 7s. This car went into the 6s, deep into the 6s, 620 something. And then this Snot Rocket 3.0, which I don't know if anybody's seen yet. I tried doing some snooping on Brett's page and Doug's page and seeing if I could find anybody that had maybe made a mention of it, but we'll have to get with Brett and kind of stay abreast of this update,
Yeah. There was a post that said he's aiming for 5, so.
Yeah. Think about this. Think about the next level. We're literally living the next level of drag and drive stuff now. It's you have Brett moving for the 5s. You have Ryan Hart shooting for the 5s. You have Stefan Goosen, who's going to be, that his Corvette ran 640s, and this new car should be way faster than it. So, he's shooting for 5s. We've got Bailey, who's already gone 5s. Like, this is crazy, man. I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, do we want to bring on the guest of the hour here? I think this is going to be kind of fun. This is going to be a great episode, and I hope I don't have to stay on my phone the whole time. But luckily, my notes have stayed up through all of this.
Yeah, you're a little glitchy, but I think we'll get through it.
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bring him on.
What's up, boys?
How you doing?
Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we'll see how this
excited
goes.
about this.
Uh-oh. Mike's locked up again.
All right.
I hope not.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yeah, you got it. So my name is Dane Thopmson. I've got a YouTube channel called Burn Down. And I fell into the drag and drive deal about 3 years ago, 2021. and I just got hooked ever since. I mean, it's become a passion, and more like I feel like a drug addict. I'll be straight honest with you. I should probably be like AA for drag and drive, but it really is something special when you get out to an event like that. And because I've kind of found purpose with it, I've just streamlined everything I do into drag and drive. So all my social media stuff, I work with the guys at World Performance, and everything is 100% drag and drive now. So my YouTube channel, the parts that I help them move and sell, and everything that we do, I sleep, eat, breathe, drag and drive stuff. Similar to you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
drag and drive, like I say all the time, it's changed my life.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just continue to talk here. Hopefully his internet kind of comes back online. But yeah, as far as the drag and drive stuff is concerned, the reason I really enjoy it is I have a background just like everybody else. I hate to use the term budget, right? But I started out, you guys have some pictures, he'll roll at a certain point here, but I had a small family, a small kid. I had a car that I was supposed to get rid of that ended up staying around like a junkyard dog. That's what I call the Malibu that most people are familiar with. And yeah, there they are. There's my lovely family. So I got that car when he was an itty bitty guy, and he named it the Malibu because he couldn't say Malibu. So he called it the Malibu. And that's where the car got its name and its start. But everything I did on that car was a DIY project, learn how to do it. I'd never LS swapped anything. I'd never messed with fuel injection. I mean, everything was pretty much brand new. And I started off life with the car trying to do, it was called zip tie drags at the time, put on by Freiberger, Hot Rod and all that. And I budget swapped it for super cheap, all in, for terribly cheap. And if you say how cheap it was, people wouldn't believe me, but I have some pictures of the terrible cam swap that I did that kind of got me started on here. But that was where the love of the cars and the drag racing kind of formulated. I've been driving cars and messing with things that have motors pretty much since I was, I don't know, teenager or so. I grew up out in the high desert and everything was miles away. So if it had a motor, I was in on it, because pedaling your bike when it's hot outside gets old, right? Plus you can't take the girls around or go with the girls to the beach and stuff like that on your bicycle. So cars were natural to me to work on, mainly to fix and to go places, but I found a passion and love for it. And drag racing was always intriguing, but it was always at a budget, right? So that fast forward to the Malibu and bringing this thing online, found a website, or a YouTube channel rather, called Sloppy Mechanics. I'm friends with the dude now, but at the time I was just a fan watching some guy with an impact slam stuff together. And I was like, a buddy of mine showed me in his garage, and I was like, that guy's either completely full of it or it works. And I had a cheap 4.8. They weren't popular at the time. I got it for $60, and he had a cam on the shelf, and it looked like we put hot sauce in it. We slammed it in, and long story short, the thing worked. And then I was off to the races doing that. Yeah. But in the regular drag racing world, sometimes it's kind of a measuring contest, if you will, of stackers and budget and who has fancy stuff. And we all know that horsepower, money buys horsepower, and it makes fast cars. So I stumbled on the drag and drive stuff. And I was doing the smaller budget, drag race events where it's like the cheap build your own kind of stuff. And I made some buddies. I still have friends to this day that do that. And that's an awesome crowd and an awesome way to get started. But I always watch like the bigger YouTuber guys do all that stuff. And I was like, man, one day I'm going to go and do it. And in 2019, I had a buddy. I say he was my little big brother. So he was a bit younger than me, a lot larger than I was, a big stature of a dude, super cool, super supportive guy. And he was one of those guys that I would always tell I was going to do big stuff and I was going to do this and that. And he had a way with words, and whether or not he believed me, I think he believed in me. He at least made me feel like that he did. He ended up passing away from a car accident of all things in 2019. And that was just a moment for me to deal with grieving and emotion and how I was feeling. I was like, I don't want to let my boy down, because I told him I was going to do cool stuff. Like, we're going to do cool stuff, right? Yeah. So I took my junk car. We threw some money at it that I didn't even have. Of all things, it's funny because I know he was looking down, because I told everybody I was going to go. And all my buddies are like, yeah, right, you're not going to get in. I swear to God, I pulled my phone out. It was registration day. I just typed the number in, and like you would just register to go to any normal event. No race, no nothing, just boop, boop, boop. And I was like, cool, I got in. And everybody was like, you what? I was like, yeah. And I kind of attribute that maybe to him kind of looking down. But yeah, so I got in did the event. I struggled terribly, and it was if every event was like that, I don't know if I would continue to do it. But we had an adventure. I invited a guy that I met like once or twice. He said he'd be down to go. I said, cool, fly out to my house, because that's kind of my MO. He flew out. He drove with me out there, and the rest is history. And that was the first one under my belt. It was completely miserable, and I knew that I'd found a home and something to do.
Yeah,
That's
Jonathan
awesome.
Stone Cipher all the time says you're either a forever or never participant, and
Yep.
so I'm telling you, you seem like the forever guy. Like once you got it in your hooks, you were done for.
Yeah, I'm completely, like I said, I feel like it's more of an addiction. I've never been so into one particular thing. I love cars in general. I've always done cars, but I find myself setting goals for specific stuff for that application in general. Before it'd be like, oh, it'd be nice to have that fancy part or maybe go a little quicker to track. But now it's like, I need my car to do this. I want to do this. This is my goal. And it's about setting personal goals too. That's the thing I love about Drag and Drive is you get a lot of hardcore race types that want to come in and set the world on fire racing. What a lot of people don't understand is it's 90% drive and 10% drag. It should be drive and drag. I don't know why they call it the other way around, but majority of the event is the adventure and the drive. So that's what needs to be pushed a lot on the average individual too, is that it's getting you out there using the car and enjoying it. And the race is actually a backseat to the adventure itself. When you get idiots like me and pays too much attention to the internet and thinks you have to have a fast car and suffer and struggle. But I have my own bag of issues over here, obviously, and goals that I want to achieve. But yeah, just the average car, having a good time, loading your buddies in, and it's all about the adventure. It really is. And I think that's one aspect that's kind of overlooked. Everybody likes to focus on the fast cars and the big YouTube guys. And it's like, I get that. But in reality, there's 300, 299 other individuals here that all have a story and that all have an adventure. So it's about us figuring out how to tell that story. And that's kind of where I come into this thing is I'm an idea man and I like to talk and I'll just figure stuff out and just throw bombs and lob ideas to people until maybe something sticks or maybe it doesn't.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of kind of what we do is focus on, you know,
yeah.
some of those like, you know, 850. We always say it all the time that that's one of our favorite classes. So we, you know, like to follow those guys around and get their stories and talk about their thresh getting to the event and, you know, and the competition and how tight it is in those classes. So.
Well, I know we're going to go over some other specific questions, but just to throw this out there, and I keep not doing it, but maybe for this audience, is the percentage of cars that you have. Let's say, excuse me, an event, you've got 300 cars, right? Well, there's only a percentage of those cars that are sub 10-second cars. And if you look at it over a grand scope of things, the percentage I would roughly estimate, I'm just shooting from the hip, so don't murder me, internet. I'd say 30% possibly, right? 30% is going to be your quicker cars, your sub 10-second, right? Well, if it's 30%, you know, and you've got 300 cars, you can do the math on that. That's a pretty small percentage of cars that are actually boogieing versus people that are there, right? So we love the fast cars to bring butts into seats, but I think we got to get outside the box. Again, I'm not a promoter. This is all opinion based, and I'm just an idea guy and a participant. And I love the thing. So I would love to see people take my ideas and run with it. That's all.
Yeah, so we got some serious heat last year talking about hosting a slow car only event because the 10 and 12 second ET range from 10:00 to 10:99 and 12:00 to 12:99 are the largest two classes in ET brackets ever. Like not just in the bracket side of classes, but those numbers of cars that end in those averages are the widest by like 100 cars each compared to every other ET bracket that's out there. I think for 2023 there was like 12 cars in the sixes or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and it slowly crept up from there, but like 8 and 9 second cars are like sixth, you know, 6th and 7th in the quantity of numbers. And thank goodness for like Rocky Mountain, who kind of leans into that 10 through 14 second stuff, giving them an index class to race, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it, Carl.
Be over here.
Yeah.
Don't say that I haven't thought about it. And I'll just say this because he brought that up. I don't have any promotional experience. Obviously, I could figure stuff out and probably come up with something at some point. But I think one thing that we could all do and this goes for you guys and everybody that's watching right now, that would be good. If you've been on a drag and drive, you know how difficult the drive portion is, right? Well, there's nothing to say that you as an individual couldn't throw some sort of a cruise. We see those hot rod cruises all the time, right? Like, oh, come cruise around. So my idea that I'm going to start hosting myself and put it on the channel and make a big deal out of it as soon as we get around to it. I mean, granted, I'd have to Fred Flintstone my car. Well, we can talk about that later because it's broken. But I would like to do a drive day style cruise, and that's what I'm going to call it. I'd like to have people out. They have hot rods, get the cars out, dust them off. And instead of paying all this money, stressing out, dragging your car super far, making it 30 miles outside of an event and having the thing break down, well, you can just come on out to a cruise day and you can have it break down 30 miles from home, and then you can tow it back home and fix your stuff, right? But my thought was do the same style drive. You could take them on side roads. You could do all the things you do on a normal drive day, right? Because on race week, we have drive days because the mileage is so far. But you would get outside your comfort zone. You would stay off the main highways, do all the things we do. But that would allow somebody to just dip their toe in, and they would know, like, they have a car that would do it. And then my other thought was, like, you could combine a drive day with a race day, right? Like a no trailer deal. But everybody talks about weekend events and regionals and multi-day events. Like, even if you just broke it down into baby steps, the thing is to get people kind of into it, right? And then if they do it, they're like, hey, that wasn't so bad. Or they're like, hey, my car runs great. I'm ready for the big show. Or they really find out kind of how difficult it is. Because if you're coming to my drive day, I'm going to put you through the ringer. But I would do it for good reason. And then also, I was saying, experienced guys that help, right? So if you break down, I'm going to have a trailer with parts, and we're going to help it out, and you're going to get an experience, and that costs $0, right? I'll let you come out and break your car for free, but I'll also help you fix it, and we'll get you on the road.
Yeah. And that's one thing that's great. Like the single day stuff, that's what I'm excited to see, like with Cruise and Lose, as they add to that. And it is a successful event that they're going to host, right? So if they have 80 cars show up and they run 150 miles or whatever he said, 80 miles around the area, and that's going to change people's perception on what it is, and then go, oh, I can do a one-day deal. And you could start in the morning, breakfast at Waffle House, drive 40 miles, cruise back to the track. You know, it's doable, and I think we're going to end up seeing some of that come along, and bring more people in. I mean, that's our job. Like, that's what Eric and I are here to do, is to bring people into this community, and I think those events will do it for sure.
Yeah, well, I think that we're actually in the baby stages. Everybody in here, we all know what drag and drive is, right? I live it. I roll around in it. I talk a lot, and every time, if you give me a chance to talk to you, chances are you're going to hear about something drag and drive related. Everybody I talk to, even car guys, they go, you do what? You do what? I had a guy show up actually for Facebook Marketplace right before I got on here, and I sold him the thing that I'm scrounging for nickels and pennies and dimes to fix my car. And I was like, dude, you got 5 minutes, you got to go. But I mentioned it to him in passing. He was like, you do what with your car? I said, yeah, I drive it thousands of miles. I race 5 days. We average the times together, and it's awesome. And sometimes race car things happen, and that's how they end up. And then you got a Facebook Marketplace stuff because you want your stuff up.
Yep. Well, that's the way it goes sometimes. You know, you put enough miles on them, something's going to happen. Well, let's get into this thing, man. Let's talk about some of the pictures. These are pictures that you sent me before the show, so I'd like to run through these and kind of get your thought process on that. And then we have a few topics from the Bomb Squad, which is your Facebook group. That we'll cover as well. Kind of talking State of the Union drag and drive here, in your opinion, and all the stuff. So what's going on here? What are we looking at?
All right, so this here is Noble, Oklahoma, or wherever Thunder Valley Dragway is. This is how I ended my day 3, I believe it was, or race day 3, or 4th race day. I'm sorry, Rocky Mountain Race Week 1.0 this year, and I got up to the starting line. Me and my buddy Jason from War Performance, he was in the other lane, and I just put it on the trans brake. We let go, started making a pass, and it sounded like it laid over. It kind of made a noise. And I'd been having troubles kind of keeping the car squared up going down the thing because my alignment was kind of off. And this was the first time it was doing wheelies, and we weren't even really getting after it. And it made a noise, so I didn't let off. And I looked at the gauges, and nothing was weird. And I looked up, and I was holding the gas. And by that point, the back of the car just came around and put me right into the wall. Like zero, anything I could do. So fast forward, it turns out the back of the water pump actually pushed out. And I had a catch pan and it caught most of the water, but not all of it. So the water got under the rear tires and we went sideways, and then I was just along for the ride. Oh, did he go away again? So this is the aftermath, pretty much right after I crashed it. That's Matt Frost, the back of Matt right there. And he was the first guy down there on that 3-wheeler. I was already out of the car, had it shut off. Was trying to call my wife that was home watching because I didn't want her to be worried. Because it's a big deal. So the cool thing is she's so supportive and cool. And I do have a picture of her in here somewhere, that you would think a normal person would go, hey, I love you too much. I don't want you back in that thing. So when I called her and talked to her, all she said was, you're not going to an event like that again without me. And I was waiting for the pause of like, is there more to it? But then she was like, without me. And I was like, done. I mean, I didn't, as soon as that came out of her mouth, but I agree with her because I take safety very serious. So if you guys race and you're out here, I hope you do, because I'm sitting here today talking to you because I put my belts on. I had all the safety that NHRA tells me I need to have. And that car will go as fast as it should go for the safety that I do have. So I tightened the hell out of my belts. We bounced it off the wall. I was able to get out and shut it off and look Matt Frost in the eye and tell him that I was good. And he even gave me the look like, are you cool? Like, just to see. But legitimately, I was okay. And I can build the car again. So that's the mission, is to get this back to Race Week 1.0 next year to the big show.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
And all then, right. We talked a little bit about this one. And this is the one that you told us has Molly Power Pack pistons in it, correct?
Yes, sir. So Molly is actually a sponsor of my channel, which is Burn Down. You can see it on the side of the motorhome there. And they've been supplying me with pistons. So this has the Molly Power Pack pistons. This has the ones that go on the stock rod. So this is still a Gen 4 stock rod junkyard 6-liter motor, but it has the Molly Power Pack pistons because they were awesome enough to jump on board and believe in a little guy when I was a nobody. They just liked the idea, and they thought it was so cool that I was going to be an idiot in twin turbo Winnebago. But it took me 2 years to do it, and I kept them, posted on the work and trying to get it done. But it lived on the side of my house for a long time. And even my buddies, and at a certain point, I think even my wife was kind of like, are you sure you're going to be able to get that going? And I was like, no, not at all, but we're going to give it hell. So this was actually a picture that they asked for. So they asked me to do a burnout. They wanted to use it, and it's just never made the round. So I figured I would share it here because Molly sponsors this channel. They sponsor me, and they can help you guys with your Power Pack pistons.
Yeah, that is super cool. I love that.
Also, my car has them as well. So I have a set of Molly Power Pack pistons I did an unboxing on. And besides them sponsoring, I will say this about them. Even if they weren't sponsoring me, it's a great value for what you get because it comes with the rings. You can find cheaper pistons, but you can't find it as a complete set. Then by the time you add the rings and everything else, now you're just guessing, right? So if you get the Molly stuff, everything's in the box and you're rock and roll.
Yep, that's sweet. I'm in the process of building a 6-liter twin turbo LS for my Fox body. So you best believe that I've been talking to them.
Yeah, they work great. Okay, so here
I just tore a limb down out of the tree out here that was kind of maybe hanging down in front of the stuff. I've got a satellite deal that sends signal back here. We'll see if that fixes it. I don't know.
All right, so here, this is what got it started. I was talking earlier about LS swaps in a cheaper motor and a cheaper car, budget, if you will. Budget's way overused, I know, but we're just going to use the term. So the picture of my son handing me tools under my car, that was my first LS Fest West event that I went to and took my car. And that was how I spent the event. So if you're building a car and you feel bad because you're always working on it because it's a pile, trust me, we all do it. We've all been there. It gets better. You just power through it, right? So the engine in the center is actually the same engine that's on the left. And I use that to troll the sloppy mechanics community because I thought it was funny. And I legitimately put that together. We ran it. It made oil pressure. So then everybody made fun of me because it was dirty. And they're like, oh, that thing's, it's going to die and it's horrible. So I went ahead and painted it pink with a triple stage candy and then dropped it in the motor just to troll them even harder. But that motor was a 4.8 I got off of some guy's front yard, like it was on the side of his house for $60. Didn't clean it, didn't do anything. I legitimately LS swapped it the same way Happel does it, just impacted everything together. Had no idea what I was doing. Did it in an afternoon. and the thing made 280 horsepower at the wheels on a real legit dyno, on a dyno jet dyno. NA. Yeah.
That's
So,
crazy.
Yeah.
That's, man, the 4.8 that's in my old truck was out of a 210,000 mile Tahoe that had been rolled. And when we opened it up, there was like non-oil change residue in the valve cover area, and we just left it. I mean, like, I didn't clean that out, and I mean, I've beat on it relentlessly.
So here's my theory with the high mileage stuff, because you always hear people like, oh, it's got 1 million miles on it, I don't want it, or I want to freshen it up. That 300,000 mile motor has perfect machining. That thing wouldn't have lasted that long having
Yeah.
a soccer mom rip the thing around and neglect oil changes if it wasn't done well, right?
Yep.
So as far as I'm concerned, I know the machining in this thing's good. You just need to
Yeah.
knock the glaze out. I mean, I put pistons to the bottom, knocked the glaze out with a hone, and slapped the cylinder heads back on, and we're like, we're money.
We're
But
set.
that's when you're having fun. I mean, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
We're past that. We're a little more serious. Like I said, Molly's on board. I don't get a chance to do as much knucklehead stuff, but I'll tell you what, I'm not beyond it. And if the budget wasn't ever there and we were back to whatever, I wouldn't be ashamed to drop a motor like that in my car and go rip one today. Like it's fun.
Well, and I think that's one of the biggest benefits is like you're not scared to. I mean, let's say sadly, if you hurt your big money block.
Yeah.
I
can add to that. I did. So when I crashed my car, I had a LS3. Granted, it was a junkyard block, but I had it, and I had a stroker kit in it, and now I have a broken block that's good for a coffee table ornament.
Yeah. I've got a block sitting around, or it's actually, we put it back together, but it's a 5.3, and the injector stuck and sent the rod out the bottom of the block, but it was below where the piston actually stops. So we actually JB welded the block back together, reassembled it, and we started it on the engine stand, and it ran perfectly fine. And it's right now sitting over at my neighbor's house that we're just looking for something to put it in and just, make a burnout car or something out of it.
Yeah, it's fine. That thing's fine, dude. Yeah.
Yep.
So the fun thing with using motors that look like this and being a knucklehead is the learning process, because really that's what it's about, right? It's not about buying all the bling and having the best stuff. And I get that people like to do that, but also what was it? Because I always call it smiles per gallon, or I like to say a smile's only so big. Another buddy of mine said cost per smiles. So I thought that one was great too. So cost per smiles is very high when you build a crappy motor, and especially if you don't know what you're doing, because then it's a win if the thing even just runs and you can giggle. If you spend thousands of dollars on stuff and then you go to the dyno and it doesn't make the power you want, or the car's not as fast as you want, those are the dudes that are not having fun, and they're easy to spot.
Oh yeah. I say it all the time. I'm a person who loses interest very easily. So in my Fox body, I put it together, 200 and some thousand miles, 6-liter LS, bone stock, got it in the car, got it running, made a pass at my local track. It went like 13s, but if you would have saw an in-camera footage of me in the car, you would have thought I ran like a perfect 850, because the fact was that I put it together, I made it down the track, nothing broke, and I was ecstatic. And then from there, now I've added twin turbos. Now I'm rebuilding the engine. Like, for me, if I would have done that from the beginning, I would have never completed it, because it's been years and I would have gotten bored. So I need those little victories. I need to enjoy it just the way it is until I'm ready to do that next thing. And I think a lot of people skip that section and they just want to go straight to the big build.
Yeah, well, so my buddy Hap and I, we beat on the hour a day thing. And I even show people, like, that's like with Instagram, if you follow me on there, I'll show you the practice welds or what I got done in the afternoon. But if you spend 1 hour a day, right, on something, that's 5 hours by the time you get to the weekend. And I know everybody can't do it, but whatever you can muster up and get out in the garage and tinker. And yeah, you're not going to probably finish anything, but you can get to a good stopping point, hopefully at least. But you figure that's almost a whole day's worth of effort by the time Saturday or Sunday rolls around, where you're, instead of trying to cram that, now if you throw an 8 on top of that 5, you got 13 hours in instead of 8, right? Or if you want to get crazy and do a 10, you got 15, so it's extra time you don't know you have, but you do. You're wasting it flipping through Facebook Marketplace or dragging stuff home that you don't really need. I mean, we're all guilty of it, but I've learned to just streamline, and you got to hyper focus on what it is you need to get done. Or like you said, it's just not going to happen.
Yep. Absolutely.
Ah,
All right. Let's talk
hey,
about
look,
this one.
So on the left is my lovely wife, and she has been so supportive. It's phenomenal. And I will say with that picture, the reason she's probably smiling so big is because she found a Rambler at that event. The guy, his name was Austin, super cool guy. And he parked kind of behind our pits that year, and she was my co-pilot. And she wanted to go see this car and look at it. Well, little did I know that on the ride home, she was going to talk my ear off about how she needed a drag and drive car, that she didn't just want to be, she didn't want to be a co-pilot. And lo and behold, we did find her a car. Granted, the build got pushed back a little bit because somebody, unfortunately, kind of rubbed a wall a little bit. And that leads me into the other picture that I have sitting there is I turned that slip in. So I ran and I beat Jason. I'm going to just rub it in here. He did stop, however, so that was really nice of him. But I ran an 11.8 on the wall on that pass. So that was pretty cool. And they let me turn it in. And I think they thought it was pretty good that I was a good sport about it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, if I could have limped the car, I would have made the event. But I've entered 3 of them and I've completed 2. And then unfortunately we didn't make it. But the goal is to come back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So yep, tell us a little bit about the bomb squad, and then we'll go into some of the topics that we got notes on here.
All right. Well, hopefully Michael's back there cutting more branches off that tree or whatever he's doing, yelling at Verizon.
Yeah.
So on the way out to Rocky Mountain Race Week, I have a YouTube channel called Burn Down. And what I like to do is I like to try to put up videos every day. Like Rocky Mountain Race Week is the only drag and drive I've been to. I've been to 3 of them, like I said, and it is my Super Bowl. And that's why a lot of people follow along, because maybe they can't get to one, maybe they'd like to, or maybe they're just there for the adventure. And like I said, I try to put videos up every day. I race and do videos, and it's very difficult to do, but that's one of my main goals when I go and do that for my audience. And I wanted a bit more engagement because it's hard to have a conversation on YouTube. There's a comment section, but it's just a comment section, right? And unless you're sitting there reading it, you can't really comment and talk back and forth. So since the car's called the Malibu, I actually had an individual, it was 2 years ago when I took my wife. She was part of a bomb squad crew, and she gave me a legit bomb squad sticker. So I have it in my bag. I haven't put it on anything, but it's for an actual bomb squad where she was from, because that was her job. And she's like, oh, the bombs, it made me think of that. So a light bulb went off, and I was like, that would be a good name to call the subscribers and the fan base, would be the bomb squad, right? Because we're all part of the deal. So I started a Facebook group. I took a page out of my boy Happel's thing, because he's got the Sloppy Mechanics public page. And I was like, we can do that, and then we can have real discussions. And to be completely honest, it wasn't as much for me to be like, oh, look at, I have fans and all these people. It was half the time I shoot a video, everything's an afterthought. I call it a delayed conversation, right? So I'll do a video, I do the work, I'm feeling good about myself, I'll drop it on Tuesday or whatever. I already worked on the car like Friday or Saturday, and I'm already trying to move ahead. And then I have subscribers on here that are super smart, right? And they'll point something out, or they'll give me some pointers, or how I should have done something or whatever. So having this was a way for me to interact with people that are smarter than me, honestly, and to have a discussion. And the funny part about it is when you start a group like this, there's nothing, nobody's there. So you have to kind of kick it off. So I just started asking questions so people would interact, like not yes, no, not polls. I'm like, and let's keep it all focused on drag and drive. Well, quickly, a lot of the seasoned drag and drivers and people kind of just jumped in. And so I just started asking kind of more difficult questions, or things like shooting ideas on things that I would like to see, or how do we do this, or how do we grow the sport? And it just kind of started going. So it's not gigantic. We got a couple hundred members, which I'm thankful for. It's super awesome, but it is a small slice of the internet where you can go and not get beat down by all the stuff that you see on social media that is so disheartening, and just, it's hard to pull up Facebook. It's hard to pull up stuff. Trust me, I'm in the same boat as you guys, but this is a place you can go. We're not going to let anybody beat you up with any of that stuff. So there's no rules. It's a public page. But I will kick you if you're a knucklehead. I've been waiting to make an example out of somebody, but everybody's super cool. And I figure when the day comes, we'll just go, this is what not to do. Cause I don't have rules, but we like to have a discussion. And here's the other thing I will state about the bomb squad and the growth and everything of it. that I've kind of realized, I think it does fill a niche in drag and drive, is a lot of the drag and drive pages or groups that I've found are associated with events, which makes sense, right? Like the Rocky Mountain Race Weekers page, or you've got the Sick the Mag page, or whatever. They're all crossover because everybody's part of those because they like the events or do the events. But a lot of that is subject to a specific event, as where the Bomb Squad page that I have the group, I want to do share information, share builds, share how you do stuff, how are you keeping your car cool, how we grow the sport, and everything in general. And it's not specific to one event. It's specific to drag and drive in general. So it's a general page to come and learn and bounce ideas off and talk to like-minded individuals. And I'm pretty stoked. I'm glad that people even show up, to be honest with you. So
Yeah, sounds a lot like our drag drive repeat race car friends group. That's kind of the same thing. We do we haven't done as well as we had before, but we'll do like a Turbo Tuesday post, and we'll get everybody sending in pictures of their cars, and
yeah,
we'll do topics and stuff like that. So definitely
yeah.
awesome. I've joined the Bomb Squad group as well, so I'm excited to become a little more active in that.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, the goal of it is it's not as much just sharing your turbo or whatever. It's like, this is how I did my fuel system. How are you guys keeping your car cool? What transmission cooler are you using? What fuel pumps are you running? Like to get down into specifics that you would need to get a car and to take it to an event. And if you had problems at an event, I've got some of the most seasoned dragon drivers, honestly, on this page or on the Bomb Squad page, and they're chiming in and they're going back and forth and giving pointers to people or talking about things. And even I'll be honest, I'm kind of selfish because it's a resource for me, because who do I reach out to? Like, I have some buddies and we kind of talk about stuff, but it's nice when you can reach out and talk to somebody that's been doing, 10 of these events or whatever, just crazy numbers. And they're like, oh, this is what I got, or let me shoot you a picture of the stuff that I have on my car. And it works because the guy's been doing them and winning and being, for years. So that's kind of the aspect of the page that I think I wanted to shine a light on, that I really enjoy, that I enjoy anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like Jay Blanchard here just said he joined as well.
Oh, hell yeah. Awesome. Thanks, man.
So let's get into some of the topics that have been on there, and we'll do some talking about those.
Okay.
The first one we got here is one of the posts that you made that said, "What do you think would help grow the sport?" So kind of we've got some of the replies here, but kind of tell us what made you think about this as being the next topic that you posted.
Well, before we get started, internet, this is opinion based, right? And I have not promoted an event, so I can't answer all these things. But what I can do is give my 2 cents as a participant, and then throw some ideas out there. So one of the things that I'm good at is not taking no for an answer. Like, if there's stuff for sale or I want to get stuff done, I just figure out a way. If there's a wall, I'm going to go up it, over it, around it, however I get to that destination. And that's unique to me. And there are other people like that. So I just wanted to pose this question because obviously I had ideas and it was my page, but I'm like, I don't want to just sit here and it's Dane's opinion. I want to legitimately see what other people think. So I posed that question just to see. And it's funny because a lot of the answers that people would give were kind of the ones that you would expect. So then I would ask them again, like, well, why do you feel that way? And I would engage just to kind of spur the conversation. And that one went really far. I think it was almost like 100 comments or something. But I have some notes here that people were writing in. But basically, like, the gist of stuff was, we need more tracks, right? We need more money. We need more sponsors. And while those things would help, and I understand that those are a big portion of it, again, if you're limited in capacity, you need to think outside the box. There's a lot of racers in here, and everybody knows the rule is a gray area, right? If it states it, but it doesn't state this particular thing exactly, there's a lot of smart people on here that kind of stretch and bend the rules, and we all know how that works with racing, right?
Yeah.
This is the same thing. Yeah, so if your capital is limited or your tracks are limited, what's a way around that? How do you make the same thing new and fresh again? That was kind of my thought on that. So, yeah, so here's some of the ideas, like money-wise, right? So sponsors, it would be nice to have larger sponsors on board, but what do sponsors want? Sponsors want eyeballs. So then that kind of goes into coverage of the event. And then it's like, well, how do you get coverage? And then if you say that takes money too, well, we talked about a little bit before camera on here. There's a lot of people that go to these, and yeah, the stands might not be full with people, but they're diehard fans, right? Everybody's got an iPhone. They're all taking pictures. Maybe we funnel those pictures and videos into people like you or people like myself or somebody with a channel, and you just blanket post those things up for a day. You know, you could make it easy, but I think the main thing is, here's my take on it. It's basic marketing, right? It's who, what, when, where, why. So you have to answer all of those things. And I feel like Drag and Drive is still so nascent. I know it's 12 or 13 years old or whatever. And you could talk to all the old timers on here that have been doing it forever. But the reality is, when I go to the auto parts store and I talk to the guy behind the counter and I'm trying to explain why I need this weird part to this car that I don't own, and I mention Drag and Drive, they all say, what is that? And it always tells me, so I have a saying, I don't know where I heard it, but I always say this, and I always used to joke with my buddy Jason, that it takes 15 years to become an overnight sensation. And I find that to be more and more true the more I do stuff for myself, right? I've been on YouTube for a long time, and my following has barely grown, and people barely know who I am. But it takes a long time to even get this far. And same thing with a sport like this. Somebody mentioned Hot Rod Drag Week, right? And they're like, hey, Drag Week is huge, and they get all these spectators. How come like Rocky Mountain Race Week doesn't? Like, what's the disconnect? Well, when you're Hot Rod Drag Week, you have a whole magazine and a base, and they've been Hot Rod magazine since like the 50s or however far it goes back. Right. Those are people, and it's a known brand, so you're putting a big brand behind it. But then the problem is, because Hot Rod Drag Week is Hot Rod Drag Week, well, they're protective of their brand, so they're not going to help push other events because they have their own, right? So I think we need to get over the stigma of this is mine, that's yours, and everybody's fighting for territory. It's like, no, you grow the thing as a whole. That's kind of my opinion. But again, even Hot Rod Magazine, I'll go ahead and say it. I think the magazine in general did a great job of choking out like new talent and up and comers. I'll be completely honest with you. I had a buddy that worked there. He was a freelancer. We pitched so many ideas, all kinds of stuff to Hot Rod Mag, and it was like, no, this is how we do stuff. There's no new. There's just this, right? So again, you take the other events that are regional that are big. Bailey's good at this. He's obviously creative, but he's funny too because he's growing all his stuff. And it's finally, I really love that he reached out and he became a part of Rocky Mountain Race Week as a title sponsor. Mm-hmm. But that shows that he's on the right path of like, yeah, I have my own event, but we'll advertise over here too. They can do your event and my event, right? Yeah. And if you get eyeballs on everybody's stuff, we all boats rise with the tide. And that's kind of the mentality that was kind of get out there and looking for some creativity more so than just throwing dollars at it. But yes, big sponsors would bring it, but you got to have a lot of eyeballs to get the sponsors. And then that goes down to grassroots stuff. Guys like me that just decide I'm going to push this, and guys like you that are like, hell, we love this so much, we're going to cover it. And that's kind of where the fire starts. But then we have to reach out and do our job with our sponsors and people that already back us and go, hey, we need to get you guys in on this and let's get this thing growing. I see Michael's back. I'll give him a chance to talk.
Yeah, so I have just completely gone through all of my AT&T stuff and signed up made sure my phone is good for hotspot now. So we're going to try that now. We'll see if that works. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, welcome back. Welcome to my show, Drag, Drive, and Repeat.
Brain damage, man. This is rough, dude. Especially because like this is stuff I want to talk about. So I heard you guys because when I'm backstage, it's fine. It plays and I can hear, but when I was getting on it, anyways. So heard you talk a little bit about what do you think would help grow the sport. Did y'all go through a couple of the answers?
No, we're kind of waiting for you. I was just shooting from the hip, brother.
All right, yeah. So Adam Dory, great response here. We need more tracks to link some unused areas of the country. I think that is by far one of the coolest things that we can do is bring this to everywhere, right? So again, back to what I think regional stuff is the key to this is because it allows people in New Mexico that have only had one drag and drive there ever to have an opportunity to see it and be a part of it, right? You just need one track. You don't need 3 tracks. You need one track, and you race there Friday night and you drive somewhere and then you race there again Saturday night. It's that easy, right? So his what he said here is really good. He said the sport itself is thriving, but for some it's getting boring seeing the same stuff and same tracks because it's a hard thing to get 4 tracks that are good enough to run 6-second cars that will also open on a weekday and are in reasonable distance of each other. So again, we did see Race Week last year, I think, do Tulsa 2 days in a row. I think we're going to see some things like that can work around. John Gilman said, I think the way to look at it is asking yourself what is keeping you from doing certain drag and drives. He said there's a few I would do if it weren't for the classes they have. Their Facebook page had more participation by the people running the event. From the promoter standpoint, from Eric and I looking at everything, we live this life. There's some events that just don't post enough. They just don't have the capacity to post that much or whatever. But if you are a promoter, that's your number one job. The event is secondary to your working hard and making sure that people understand what is happening. And then this is something that I think we're seeing a shift. The event needs to care about the racers between the tracks as much as they do with racers on the track. So we are a group of racers, everybody that's doing drag and drive. None of us have come from not a racing background typically, right? So as you're seeing, like, we always have been to the track. We've never really worried about driving 200 miles. So obviously I'm biased because I host an event that is really focused on a lot of stuff. Racing is sometimes, I would say, not secondary, but 1.5 to the fun we're having at the circuit. And I think we're seeing some other events bring that. Road Week with Rocky Mountain, the Sick Ward with Sick Week. Drag Week has now added a drag pack. They're trying to bring some extra people in just to cruise with, just like you're saying. Like, you need that cruise day. You need that whole group of nomadic hot rodders, man. Automotive nomads, I think is what we need to call them, that are people just cruising around the country together. And that is what's going to help grow the sport that much more, because maybe we don't need 400 or 500 race cars. Maybe we need 300 race cars and 200 people that are cruising with us,
Well, this is where like Power Tour would cross over, right?
Yeah.
So I think you already have your staples. So in my opinion, Rocky Mountain Race Week is by far the hardest drive portion of a drag and drive event, right? There's nobody that's going to compete when they're up in the Rocky Mountains or whatever. And hell, I'll even go to say, as far as when we were in Dallas and all that, I mean, it was brutal. It was hot. So they made us drive the hell out of the cars, right? And then you've got Sick Week. So Sick Week's claim to fame is they get the sticky glued tracks. As much horsepower as you can bring, you can put down. So I get it. They have the fast cars, and no other event is going to have the tracks like that. So they're not going to be able to support those fast cars.
Yep.
Well, that brings me back to the boring thing. Well, is everybody going to complain that they're only going to those sticky tracks again for those fast cars? Because where else are you going to do that event? But you have it, right? So that's good. And then you have Hot Rod Drag Week, which is the staple because it's the mothership. It's the original one. And regardless of whatever they do with that event, that's the OG one, and everybody wants to put that feather in their cap, right? So in my opinion, those are the three mega events per se, like bucket list that people look up to. Well, I think there's room throughout the country for other smaller events, like you said, and I thought of an idea that would be cool, and I think somebody else said it here, but if you made like a feeder type event, right? If you hooked up with Frost from Rocky Mountain, or you hooked up with Bailey, or I don't even know how anybody touches Hot Rod Magazine, but maybe you had some buddies over there, and you could go, hey, I'm putting this event on. Could we take, and then I have X amount of classes. It's a small event, and guarantee an entry spot for my winners, right? So now you're going to get participation because they'll go, hell, I'll just go over here and kick the hell out of all my buddies, and then I don't have to fight for my spot. I'll get a spot over here at Rocky Mountain and really show them where it's at. And you're going to get a car that's already been able to do something, right? You're not going to get that first-time sign-up guy that's out in 30 miles. I mean, let's be honest, the attrition probably helps the events because it helps smooth things out. Day one is always chaotic, but how cool would it be to have that many cars actually start and finish? I mean, that would be wild. I don't know if it would ever happen, but you know what I'm saying? So then you're going to get a seasoned, at least a car that did a bit, versus like what I do. You're thrashing out the night before, trailering it, bringing it to an event. You know what I'm saying? But like feeder type events. And then that's something to win, right? So yeah, we're not racing for money and stuff. Some of the events you do, but it's about trophies and about having stuff to kind of go after and a reason to be there other than to test yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's what I think we're going to see it almost going to need, because I mean, think about it. If you have nationwide, there's Eric, 13 national events this year. if you
Mhm.
include Canada and stuff. Let's say each one of those had 300 people. They don't. But let's say they do. I mean, that's 3,900 people that need to get in. Well, just in Sick the Mag Facebook group, there's 30,000.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
it, like you're talking about such a small number, like you're going to have something trying to get into some of those events. And again, we've really seen the the spread out sparseness of what these events are. Nobody's really put something on right up against each other, as we've seen so far. Now, there's some events that have scheduled the same week, but you're talking like Ohio, the Midwest, and California.
Yeah. Well,
Those people are not overlapping at all.
Well, look at it like this too, because you mentioned the sick the mag following or whatever. A lot of those you're going to have fans. You're going to have people that are in
Yeah.
there just because they want to be. They don't necessarily want to bring a car, but you might want to give them a reason just to show up. Maybe here was another idea that I was thinking that because everybody again they want to talk money. Well, think outside the box. Like I got buddies that own monster trucks. Why not bring a monster truck and display that for the kids and people to crawl all over and look at, or have some sort of a car show? Like, yeah, maybe you're not doing drag and drive, bring your muscle car, get a discount.
Mhm.
We'll put you over here in a different section. So in
Yep.
between when they're dragging the track and people like me bounce their car off a wall, spectators can go look at cool old cars. There's
Yep.
there's stuff in a draw. Chad Reynolds, he did an awesome thing. He got an ice cream freezer, and then he
Oh,
was
yeah.
giving away ice cream, taking donations. And it was funny because I got an ice cream out of the first freezer that melted, but apparently he got a better one later on.
Yeah.
But even something like that, it's like free ice cream with entry. You can do stuff, and it's funny. Go back to like school or work. Oh, you guys did great. You made us $1 million. We hit our thing. Here's a pizza party, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I know it's a funny joke, but at the end of the day, like at least you're kind of getting something. Like you spent your money, maybe you get a free hot dog or whatever it is, to just do that little extra thing for the fans to get them to show up. And then
Yeah.
you grow it by having people know what it is. And then on the other part of that, I'm just going to keep talking. You can interrupt whenever. Is I want to roll this into the media and the coverage, right? Because I posed a question about how do we make the event coverage better? And then
Mhm.
again, I got pushback on that, and it was like, well, it takes money, and these setups are expensive. Well, I understand that, but again, everybody's got an iPhone. This shoots high res video. This shoots slow mo. I mean, this is
Mhm.
as good as whatever. And you got a bunch of Spielberg sitting in the stands. Give them a task. Maybe you make that part of your event. Hey, the person that can get the best video of whatever, we got a shirt for you. We got some stickers. Come turn your footage in. We'll trade you out. Super
That's a
simple
great idea.
stuff, right? And again, it's just spitballing, and I think the promoters just get beat up. I'll be completely honest with you. It's so overwhelming. You probably don't have time to sit and spitball and think of dumb things like I do. I sit here in sand and build cars all day. I've got plenty. I got 8 hours. I could sit mindlessly and dream stuff up. But I think things can be done to kind of just. It's just the little things. We're not talking the big things. Like the big things take big money, but a lot
Yep.
of small steps are going to add up to a big step.
Well,
I
and
mean-
one of the things, go ahead, Eric.
No, I was just gonna say, like, that's what Mike and I do is we bounce ideas off of each other literally all day, every day. I mean, we're constantly sending each other messages. What about this? How about that? How do we make this better? I mean,
Mhm.
that's how you get some of these things, like the racer party, and we do go-karts, and how many pizzas did you order at the circuit? It was like 40 pizzas.
Oh, 75.
Dude,
The first round was
40
40.
was the first round. Yeah.
So what you do is you just throw one, and then you have the party end up over kind of by a Costco. You get giant pizzas for $10 a pop, dude. You just sell them out, bring them over. Everybody's stoked. Get hot
Oh,
dogs.
yeah. We gave Domino's $7 a pizza for 75 pizzas. It was a pretty good deal. We did 2 ways. It was awesome. That leads into some conversation we were having before the show, and the idea that I mean, I'll throw this out there for content creators that are smaller, and we all can't necessarily afford a whole bunch of stuff, but let's all join forces at an event. Like, let's pick an event. Eric and I are going to do Drag Week. We're going to do Sick Week, and we're going to do one of the Rocky Mountains in 2025 together, both of us. And I'd be willing to hire an editor if we could split that cost across a couple different channels, and then we just have that editor in the tower all day, and we're all bringing them footage, and they know what you like. Like, this isn't something you just walk up and go, hey, I'd like to get in on this. This is something we work on for 3 months ahead of time, so we can hire the right editor. We
Yeah.
can bring the right person along with us, and they understand what we're looking for. Things like that. Like I think that. I mean, we're probably going to do that at some point next year to help, because like this, just leading into what you were saying about how 1320 puts out a daily video. We spend a lot of time on live stream stuff, so a
Right.
lot of time, a lot of money. But for folks that, if you've ever watched 8 hours of Rocky Mountain Race Week, it's tough, man. It's tough to watch, not because it's bad content at all. It's just 8 hours of a drag strip and some interviews and the announcer talking and stuff. And I think with, like, again, back to what you were saying with 1320, with what YouTubers do, trying to put out a daily video, things like that, like, it's tough, because if you race and you drive and you're not to your hotel till 2 a.m. and you've got 3 hours to put this video up, get it edited, load it, write the description, do the thumbnail, all the stuff, like, it's 6 a.m. before that video comes out. Well, what if that video could be of your racing and it would be out at 9 p.m. or 11
Yeah.
p.m.?
Well, here's food for thought, because you mentioned 1320, and I did bring that up at some point, and I wanted to cover this, so I'm glad you said that. I know the boys over at 1320; they're awesome. I've interacted with them. They actually rode in the Twin Turbo Winnebago, all that fun stuff. But I knew they were not coming to 1.0 this year, right? I talked to them at LS Fest, and they said it's not in the cards, yada yada, so on. So I kind of knew that was kind of happening. So I set a personal goal to try to race and then cover just my class, because I figured if I was going to do that, I could at least bring some 1320 to the mix. Granted, I got stopped out by the heat and everything else. It was just too much. And I was like, I'm sorry, guys, that was the idea. But just like you said, a video after the fact fills in the blanks between the live feed and who's actually going down the track, because the average viewer doesn't know anything. We know all these people. Like that picture you put up, I know that's Jason Hurley. He's my spirit animal. The average people don't know that that's Jason Hurley with the shoots out doing 200. I do, because this is what I do, right? The average individual, they know now because I just said that. But there's a gap there between 8 hours of live feed and then, like you said, the daily videos. That was what 1320, their bread and butter, and they're really good at doing it, and they have an entire team. But then when they're not there, like these smaller events, they're not going to be there. Kyle's not going to waste his time to go to a smaller event. And I'll be completely honest with you. We have a local event. It's called Redwood Rally. I'd love to attend, right? It's in California. Everybody goes, well, why don't you do that? And I said, I can only pick so many events, but I know my boys are going to be over there. And if you want to be on the big stage, and I have to have some sponsors and have some people, and I can only go to one event, I want to go where everybody's going to cover it. Because just like when I wadded my car up, you know how sad I was that Fred wasn't there to capture that? Because I would have had awesome video and it would have been a whole different thing. And instead it was a subscriber that's like a guardian angel. The guy that shot the video actually gave me a ride back to my truck so I could come get my car.
Oh man. Wow. What a cool story though.
But that was a disconnect. And so, like you said before, what you could do is, okay, maybe you got smaller YouTubers and everybody wants their stuff to be seen and they want the event to come out, right? If you're dropping it 3 weeks after, nobody cares. Maybe they team up with a guy like you or whoever wants to do it and go, look, if you have a small YouTube channel, bring us your coverage and your footage, just specific good clips, maybe passes, kind of how you're doing, and we'll chop it up and throw it in our video, right? So now you don't have to have the team. You got people bringing you stuff, and they can be part of your brand, and they still get their stuff out there, and they get shout outs and everything else. So I think it's going to be something like that, where to take it on, like everybody wants to do what everybody's kind of doing. Like it'd be rad to be 1320 and do their stuff, but they're already doing it. Why don't you do something different, right? It's like we talked about all the live feeds at the no prep events. That's funny now. If there's some live no prep event, there's like 6 channels on YouTube that are live, and they're just different angles at the same event with people holding cameras.
Yeah, they're all standing at the starting line.
And like I said before, that's cool. But what if a couple of them teamed up, and then you had a finish line guy, you had a guy walking around the pits, because maybe some guy's scrambling to get up there, you don't really know, and then you just see in the live event his car's taking the crap when he's trying to burn out. Well, you don't know any of that. You don't even know who the guy is. So I think there's opportunity, but it's also, like you said, it's going to take people working together, people coming off the dream of like, I'm going to blow this whole YouTube channel up from covering one event. Like it's kind of not how it works, but maybe you can be part of a group and grow that way. You know what I'm saying? I'm just spitballing again.
And that's the benefit to, like, so the reason we chose StreamYard is because you can live stream to 8 different channels at the same time. Like that's the package we have, right? It's expensive, but it works. And so as you add people into admin and things like that, they could add their channel to that. So I mean, like I love the idea of 3 different camera angles because I mean, Eric and I can talk. We do this all the time, right? If there's some other channels that are only
Yeah.
content, they only put content. They have
And there's
no
a lot of
voice on it or anything. But
Yeah.
like if their stuff could jump on with ours or ours with theirs, and we run through this StreamYard deal, and we have all 3 like this, but it's an event coverage. Like I mean, that's a huge difference. And even if you
Yeah.
did it for 20 minutes, who knows? But there, I'm telling you, Eric and I are open to working with folks that are at events to help everybody grow and just continue to spread the drag and drive community out there.
Yeah.
One of my
Because-
other favorite new things that I saw was Adam on the street, right? When Tom
Yeah.
Bailey scooped up Adam, and I think he just gave him something to do because I think Adam got laid off and he's like, bro. So they took him and put a microphone in his hand. I remember I was in here working and then I was listening to it. And I look over, here's Adam laying under the car. The camera guy doesn't know what to do with himself. And he's interviewing the guy and it's Adam's legs and the other guy's legs. And I was like, oh my God, this is what Drag and Drive has been missing, right?
Yep.
You just send somebody out there and that was such a cool gig. And obviously they're paying him to do that. Well,
Yep.
there's also content creators that are already out there trying to cover the event and it's a
Yep.
smaller channel and they're trying to grow it. If it were me and I was doing media or whatever, or an event, I would just kind of do one of these and try to scoop somebody in that's already doing it. They already have a car there. They're already spending money on the hotel rooms. You're like, hey, let's put this under my brand. I'll make your life a little easier. And we
Yep.
can all be kind of part of the thing, you know, because they're there
Yep.
just to do it. You're not getting any, nobody's getting anything. I don't get paid to go to Drag and Drive, you know, and the
Yep.
guys with the small channel, they're not making money on YouTube. I think I
Well,
make
and
$100 a month or something like.
oh yeah, it's a joke anymore. But the one thing I'm thinking of is like, could we have an editor that would be working for each channel? That would be my thought. Like, not necessarily their content on ours and us help them grow, but like, you know, how could we hire an editor that is working for 3G Video and Drag Drive Repeat and Channel XYZ, and is literally they have 3 videos open all day, and they're just because I mean, let's be honest, a lot of our content, like a lot of automotive content, is literally I'm recording this and then I'm going to put that video in and I'm going to chop it.
Yeah.
Whatever's dumb out of it, I'm going to tell you. It's not like we have to do a whole bunch or that we do a whole bunch. We have that kind of content, but it's that 3 hours of editing at the middle of the night that we're trying to get to.
Yeah,
And
and
I
the
touch
problem-
my phone, of course, the signal's going to go down.
And the problem is you know, we come back home with 400 videos, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
because we get to the hotel so late at night that if you're lucky, you can gather a couple of them together. But by the time you get home from an event, if you got 400 or 600 videos, like it's hard to put a video together at the end of the week.
Well, that's just it. You shouldn't come home with any. They should already be out. You should be driving home talking about what you're doing next. I mean, again, that's because people want to see the event. A week later,
Yeah.
nobody cares. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I
100%.
was like, I have to do this and I make it a point. And not everybody's cut out, you know, for this type of stuff. I mean, I understand that too. Some people have to sleep. I get that. But if you can't pull the all-nighters and you're an animal, like you said, team up with people and make it happen. But when you have that footage, there's no reason it should sit on that memory card if the event's going, you know. The day after video is cool, but hell, you wait any longer than that, it's just stale. Like people already know who won and who did whatever.
Well, the other
I'll
problem
give you-
is though is
Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say the other problem is a lot of times rather than being in the hotel room, you're out hanging out with everybody in the parking lot, and that's where you come up with your stories. So that's where we get stories to talk about here. So you either go into your room and edit the video and put that out, or you hang out with the racers and get stories that you talk about for later videos or on our live stream. Like that's the struggle is you can't do both of them in an event because we've tried and we get 3 hours of sleep on average doing what we do already, and we still don't get everything done.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea too. You just said it right there. Everybody loves the parking lot stories and the parking lot beers. Nobody has an episode like that. Like I don't even have a GoPro out there. Like Chad and I rambled on for, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours one night about stuff and all their adventures. I could have just GoPro'd his ass the whole time and people would, you know, love to, because you feel like you're a part of it. And that's what I was getting to. I have my little notes here, but the storytelling and hype, and then the people behind the cars. So this drags me back to Adam's comment, and I didn't want to go back and forth with him because I feel like he'd think I was a dick. But he mentioned the 6-second cars, and I know that's a meat and potatoes, and that's what people want to see. But in reality, none of those cars are really worth anything. They're all cars in the parking lot until you put that driver in the seat, right? Tom Bailey's car is just a car unless Tom Bailey's wheeling it, and Brett Lasalla, Cletus, all of it. My car, your car. So people getting to know the people, the nut behind the wheel really is the meat and potatoes. And I think that's how you capture the average person, because everybody can relate to a person and struggles and achievements. Like, honestly, me bringing my car back is more important than me finishing this next year, because I want to show people that don't have their car together that I'm going to put a whole damn car back together in a year and struggle, and it's going to be difficult. But if I can let off that trans brake button and make one pass on day one, I won the whole event. That's my Rudy comeback story, and that's what I'm shooting for. But I'm going to let everybody follow along and watch me, and I'm probably going to come up short on some stuff, or we're going to have to make it happen. But that's the story that people love, and that's what's missing. There's a disconnect between the live feed and the butt that's in the seat going down the drag strip. And however you fill that in, I think that's the magic. And it's not money. I mean, yeah, it does take money. I think there's effort and talent and other ways to get over that wall versus, yeah, you could just throw money at it and hire the best editor in the Jumbotron. I get all that, but not everybody is Cletus and they don't have that kind of funding.
Well, it's what we're doing right now.
The struggle with
the live streams.
Yeah, and the struggle with the big stuff is, those videos aren't getting cut down. Like, I mean, there Sick content on Sick the Mag page, like on their YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Like, probably not, because it was on the live stream. Right. So I'm sure there's some videos that come from that, but yeah, that's the biggest thing, is like, how do we get this content out? And that's really what got my mind turning. That's what, I mean, your post made my mind think, man, how do we afford to have an editor even come out? The only way Eric and I could afford that is to have like some people help us share that money, spread that across a couple different things. Let's move on, because we're over, but I love the contents I love the conversation we're having here. So guys, do us one favor, hit the share button again. We're going into, I'm going to say, the second half of the interview here, because we've got some good stuff. So I want to talk about gas station snacks, because this is awesome. So I want to hear what your gas station snack is, and we'll give ours.
So the thing that I learned doing multiple Dragon drives is you need stuff that doesn't go bad in the heat, because it's always hot and you just need something. So a cooler is your best friend, which I have yet to really accomplish that, but a little mini cooler. I do Topo Chico, so I just do water. I'll do coffee for like a caffeinated drink if I need that. And then I would have to say beef jerky. Like, that's the one go-to that you can kind of do. But either that or potato chips, because the thing with the beef jerky is, if it is a real hot day, sometimes reaching that bag, you're like, I don't know, that stuff's been in there for like a whole day. I don't know how good she is. And sometimes it bites back. So I would just say, there was somebody else that mentioned Pringles, and I agreed with her. I was like, Pringles are awesome because they're in that canister, so they don't get all crushed, and I can keep them right next to my seat. And then sunflower seeds, if you're tired or whatever driving, I just like to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, mine's beef jerky and honey roasted, like cashews or peanuts. And anytime I'm in a gas station, I'm buying a Gatorade. Doesn't matter. That's all I drink if I'm on that stuff. If I'm on an event. Eric, what about you?
I pretty much live on energy drinks. And when Mike's around, I get Gatorades from Mike. But I typically at an event, I don't eat. I'm usually running around, and if we grab something on the way to the track in the morning, sure. Otherwise, it's going to be dinner time or whatever by the time I actually sit down and eat. I don't know. I'm more of a just keep going, and I'll grab a Gatorade or another energy drink and make it until we actually have time to sit down and relax.
So you know what I did this year, because sometimes you don't have time to eat. Like, if your car's wasted and you're thrashing, and I go downhill quick if I don't have food. So was like the Ensure energy drinks, for the supplements. So I actually had some of those sitting, and then I would do cranberry juice. And then I had those, it's like a shake, like a protein shake or a juice shake, the green machine or whatever they're called. They're kind of expensive, naked juice. So I would cocktail a naked juice, a cranberry juice, and then like one of those if I didn't have like a meal. And then the other
Wow.
thing too that they don't tell you is if you're late, like me, most of the time, because we're struggling, when you go to these small towns, everything closes because these people have lives and they go home. I'm used to Southern California. I can get a burger at 1 a.m. if I want, right? I can go to 24-hour Winco and, well, you get there at 7 and you're like, what do you mean the steakhouse is closed at 7? They're like, yeah, we closed at 5, bro. You're late. So
Yeah.
that was why I was like, I need the extra calories because I burn them like nobody's business, if you guys can't tell. So I have to eat, because if not, as soon as I crash, like it's over.
Let's run through some of the notes here. Other people put in there the comments. Again, this is on the Bomb Squad Facebook group. Holly Rops, she was your Pringles girl.
Yeah,
That
that's
and
part.
beef jerky. And she said Monster, Celsius, and water. Joe Ernst, I thought this was a good one. Old Trapper jerky is a must.
Yeah.
Good stuff there. He said, now I can't do an event without Nerds gummy clusters. Thanks to Brady Davis and the crew. Man, those, Nerds gummy clusters. That's where it's at. And then Zach
Buddy,
Slemons, who was on earlier, he said jerky and water, so I don't have to take a nature poop.
Yeah, I think one of the things I like when you did is at the circuit you had the cooler and you just had a bunch of the Uncrustables thrown in there. That actually I think worked out really well too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we attempted to let my daughter make some money, and she did. She made a profit on her stuff. But next year, her job, I'm just going to pay her a flat fee for the weekend, and she's just going to run around and give people food. It was $5. It was sweet
and
salty.
salty. Yep.
Yeah, so it was like we had beef jerky, we had like some Little Debbie snacks, and then we had like some peanuts and things like that. And it was just a little bag that people could come by and grab, and $5, it was like $3 worth of stuff in it, and it made her a little money, but it also like gave them something in the middle of the day, because man, there's a lot of times where you don't eat for a day and a half. Now a regional event is different than a national event, because a national event you're going to drive 200 plus miles a day, and you may not make that run into the gas station because you're trying to make the track. But
I had a dude named Big Jim, and I roached my transmission on the very first one I went to on the drive up to Denver. So in the morning we pulled it. I found a transmission in a guy's shed. We're thrashing to build this thing. And it was all day. It took me all day to get the thing back together. And he threw a bologna sandwich on the table next to the thing. And he's like, you need to eat this. Like, he just saw that I was just losing it.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that guy, I don't know if I would have made it, but it was neat that somebody was there. And like I said, that was the best bologna sandwich I probably ever had, with the transmission fluid or whatever was on it. It was just the right amount of kick. It was great.
Yep, that's exactly right. Joe Haney here says mornings and evenings were powered by Red Bull. We've learned liquid IV is a lifesaver. That's a good one during the hot afternoons. Second for nerd clusters. One thing I was struggling a little bit just in daily life with some like dehydration stuff, and so I would get like an IV, like literally, like a saline IV before I'd go on a trip. I don't have to do that anymore, but I did that for a couple of events, and that seemed to help.
More water, dude. Less soda.
Yeah, well, and at that point, I don't drink Monster or any energy drinks like that. I have caffeine, but I don't do it in the loads of sugar way Eric does. But
no, mine are 0 sugar, bud. No sugar.
Oh, there you go. I'm sure that's good for you. I'm sure that's something
right.
to replace sugar with is good. Okay, let's move on, because this topic is important and one we have covered a few different times: stolen cars at drag and drive events. So, your post said, with cars getting stolen at drag and drive events, what's a good deterrent for thieves? Trackers will help recover the car, but what might help it not get stolen in the first place? And there's some good comments here, but I wanted to hear your thoughts first.
So it's funny that we bring up a stolen cars comment, because I stole that idea actually from Chad Reynolds. So they went over it on, I believe it was his podcast, The Bank Shift, and they were talking about it. And I just thought it was a great idea because everybody worries about that. The last one went on, there was 2 cars that disappeared.
Yeah.
And I laughed because it was Trevor Wilson's dad. I forget the gentleman's name. I call him Mr. Wilson. But I went to the hotel and there was a car there missing a front wheel on blocks. And I was like, man, they're stealing wheels now too. Like, it's getting bad out here. And he came out of the thing and he had his wheel. And I was like, oh, hell, well, I guess they can't steal it if you take your wheel with you, right?
Yeah.
So, he full on took his front wheel off his car. He's like, they're not stealing my car. But what Chad's idea was, which I really liked, and which I just like, again, I was just putting ideas out there because I want people to interact and talk, is everybody goes for the stealth mode. Like, I have this stealth thing, they can't start it, my fuel pump doesn't work. Well, yeah, they already broke your windshield and they already did damage, or maybe they drove it 20 miles. Like, that doesn't really help me. Now I'm just pissed and I don't have a windshield and I can't race. So I think the visual deterrents are kind of where it's at. Like, I'll obviously have a tracker or whatever on my car, or have fuel shut off or whatever. Hell, I mean, honestly, if you didn't know how to drive a car, you probably couldn't drive the Malibu. But having a visual deterrent, because that wouldn't stop them from wanting to load it on a rollback or something, right? So if you had some chains around the wheels, whatever. And then Devin mentioned like a car cover, right? So if they don't kind of see it, by the time they're peeking underneath it, they already look bad because they're already trying to lift a car cover, and you're like, hey, you don't own it. What are you doing? So that's a good red flag deterrent too. Like, even a car cover, because they can't really see it. They can tell it's a Fox body. They don't know that it's a 230 mile an hour Vanilla Ice special Fox body, but
right. Yeah, that's a good idea, and think about that. And that's what we talked about in the other episodes, was like, don't make it easy right out of the gate. Make sure your locks work. Make sure your door handle locks work. Make sure your key switch can't be started with a screwdriver. Make sure they can't just reach under there and grab the wires and touch them. Like all that kind of stuff. Just make sure it's not easy. But I love the car cover. I love the Wilson's taking a wheel off. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was when I saw that he did it to himself, I was like, I love that. Yeah.
Sam Tucker. Go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
Yep, I was going to say Sam Tucker had a good one here. It said, I always pull my fuel pump relay and starter relay when I stay at a motel. Even just on a road trip in the family car, it might make the difference between them taking it or not. I guess it depends on how determined they are.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty good. And Ryan Hill right behind that says, and park in a place where it's difficult to get out of, or that's one thing the 301 streetcars do really well, is they all will kind of intermingle those cars together, and they sit out in the parking lot till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
That was, so the other one that's wild too is, so my buddy Navlac 57, he does all the Vortec 4200 stuff.
Oh yeah.
He had that Studebaker stolen.
Yep.
And that thing, I mean, nobody else has that car. Let's be honest.
Dude, I guarantee you they didn't know that was in the trailer when they stole it, because they got his truck and trailer, and then that. So they may have known that car was in there, but I think they just saw a truck and trailer and they snatched it and were gone. And that's really part of the problem too, right? So like he probably had all kind of deterrents on that, let's say. I mean, I love them. They're engineers, so they had some kind of special thing, but it's locked up in the trailer. But
yeah, he had deterrents on the car, but not his own truck, unfortunately. But that's, so with my truck, I usually, like I said, pull fuel pump relays, and then I have an open trailer, so I'll usually try to back the car to where you couldn't get the car off, so the truck itself won't really move, and then you're not unloading the car when I'm traveling. And then the Malibu itself, like I said, you need the visual deterrence. Staying at the host hotel helps, peace of mind. I had a picture one time of me parked next to a cop, so I thought that was a pretty good deterrent, because we had a convention with police. I'm like, I'm pulling right up next to the cop. So
the host hotels are good, especially like Rocky Mountain. They hire security. Juan Pablo is great. They just cruise around on motorcycles all night, keeping an eye on stuff. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, but no, it's a hard one. It's a risk that we take. I mean, driving them, it does suck. It is part of it, but unfortunately, that's the world we live in. So you need to cover yourself with that. And like I said, visual deterrence for me, like the detachable wheel, take a front tire off, whatever you have to do, so you can at least get an hour or two of shut eye. I mean, make it happen.
Yeah. Another comment here from Tom DeVito was, we struggled with this at our local track in Ohio. I'm so anti getting my stuff stolen. I made a couple of alarm devices that were motion sensitive, and I chained the wheels of my trailer together to buy me time to get them parked, the rig outside the hotel window. Also, always carry protection.
Yeah.
You never know if you're going to have to run out in your underwear. What that's going to do,
I mean, that's funny, because we talked about our little trip just to Iowa the other weekend, and the hotel that we stayed in, I backed my truck up into the bushes, and we wedged the chair up against the door because we had no idea where we were at.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff, I think, is, again, the visual deterrent. That's a great thought. I love the car cover. I love taking the wheel off because, like, as a thief, if you're looking at an entire, like, there's 70 cool hot rods in the parking lot, and you're just walking, pulling handles. Okay, handles locked, or hey, that one's got a wheel off of it. Ah, man, hey, that
Yeah.
one's got the window down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I can reach in and see if I can get that thing. So just don't make it easy. I think that's one of the biggest things. There were some great ones. Somebody had said, they write a new tune in there that it won't start at all. But
Yeah.
again, that's not going to help with a tow truck. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, all that fun stuff. What haven't we talked about so far? There's so much stuff, man. You're a wealth of knowledge. I'd love to hear some fun stories. But again, guys, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you for being our race car friends. Thank you for doing what everybody does, and thank you to our sponsors as well. Let me run through them real quick, and then we'll get back to it. Oh, I think I broke something. There we go. All right. Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Change 3D, WAF Racing, Performer Built Transmissions, Howard's Cams, love you, Luke, Sweet Patina, Racing Junk Classifieds, and Power Tube TV. Love you guys. Thank you all so much for being a part of this. All right. Back to our regularly scheduled program here. So is the Malibu the only project race car you have? I mean, and then we're going to talk about the Twinnebago.
So the only project race car I have is the Malibu. It didn't start out life as a race car. It started out life as supposed to be the family car. It evolved into a race car, and it's the only one I have that currently is set up for that. Like I said previously, my wife fell in love with the 65 Rambler, and I was fortunate enough to find one on Facebook Marketplace that was born in California. It had been here its whole life, about 20 miles from where I live, and it's a 2-owner car. The thing is so nice. I swear, it's like when people talk barn find cars, like this was that. The dude was 90 years old. He bought it from the OG owner. I've got the user manual with the oil coupons that are signed off, like the whole thing you hear about, right?
Wow.
And I was look at it and I was like, asked my wife, I said, do we have to cut this one? Can we just maybe make this the family cruiser? And she was like, that's the car. I got to have that kind. I said, honey, it's your car. So I bought it for her birthday. And it was really neat that social media actually helped me out because the guy vetted me through my channel. So I wasn't the first guy to reach out, but I was the guy that he looked through all my stuff and went, I want this to go to you, because he kind of had an idea I would do good stuff with it. And for all you guys that beat people up on Facebook and think you're getting a deal or whatever, they left such a bad taste in his mouth that he picked me to buy the car versus going with the guy that showed up, because he was sick of tire kickers, sick of people being jerks. Yeah. So I have her car. Got pushed back, obviously, with the Malibu being in the current state it's in. But I will say this about the Boom, that the video doesn't do the hit justice. I was doing 110 in the 8th, which was a little slower than I normally go. So the thing kind of had laid over, but we were still motoring. So I had to be going between 110, 120 when it hit the wall. Luckily, it veered right, but it broke. It pushed the wheel in, bent the frame back. It twisted it up because it rolled the wall. So it broke my hot side, cold side, busted the front fender, hit the rear quarter, broke both rims on that side. It ended up breaking the block. It pushed the starter into the block. It folded my mid-mount support. It broke the transmission housing. What else did we break? Oh, and it pushed the rear end over, so it messed up my rear end. So essentially, it would be easier to probably do a new car, really, than my car. But my saving grace was my cage wasn't connected to the front. I didn't have the front struts, so it would twist up or whatever. But that saved me because the front end folded. But essentially, we're doing a new motor. Luckily, it was a borrowed transmission, so I ruined Jason's transmission. So I still have a transmission. I have to do a rear end. We're going to add to the cage. I'm going to tube the front end, but I've got a whole laundry list of stuff to do. So that pushed my wife's car back, unfortunately. But her car is going to come out. She's doing a mini version of the Malibu. It's going to be flashy. I'm excited. We're actually getting a rendering because of Bang Shift from my friend Larry Woods, and he's of Hot Wheels fame. He's doing a full-on rendering of her car. So when that drops, I'll share that with people. So that's kind of keeping her motivated to keep her going. And then I have a Pacer that I was supposed to have finished, but again, life happened and I wadded a car up. But that thing is a standard LS. I did a 421 crossover header, so it should sound like a flat plane crank, because I don't want people complaining about an LS. And then we did an AR 5-speed out of a Colorado and a 488 in the rear. So that'll be fun. And then I have a paint scheme for that. We're going to do a John Player special on it, lower it, black it out with the gold. So that'll be my kids, basically. We're going to teach them how to do shifting and driving. I got a 3rd grader but he's super tall for his age. And he's like, I can reach the pedals, Dad. I said, well, we're going to go rip, son.
Yes, Junior Street, bud.
Yeah. So we have the Pacer. And then, like I said, I have the Malibu. And then the Winnebago was my idea to get some attention on YouTube because it's hard to get attention. And once I finished it, it took me 2 years to finish it. We did the whirlwind tour with it at LS Fest West. The first year I dropped it, we were on 1320. Holly covered it. Everybody loved it. And then I called up all my sponsors and I said, do you guys need anything? And I was envisioning, hey, bring it to PRI or drive it out here. We have this event. The only person that really got back to me out of all my sponsors, Champion Cooling had me bring it to an event for a car show, which is like perfect for what I wanted to do. And Molly goes, we want to see that thing do a burnout. And I was like, okay. And I knew it would do it because I had it do it before, but I didn't have it with all the paint and everything. So I ended up roaching a transmission. So I had to rebuild that, trying to do a burnout. I knocked all the stuff off the wall because I was jamming the brakes trying to get to unload because it's true dually. Everything is inside. We use it for camping and everything. So after I roached a transmission, I fixed it. We went camping. And then I came back. So the next one where the picture I have, I actually did it right out in front of my driveway because I'm like, if I break this thing, I can't, it's so much money to tow it home, even though I got AAA. So we got it to light and I'm like, cool, I'll just ride it out. Yeah. And I was going to roll out of the smoke and be a hero. So I let that cook until you couldn't see the Winnebago. Right. And my idea was I'm going to punch out of the cloud of smoke and this is going to be an awesome video. I get out of the cloud of smoke and then it goes bang and the rev up and then it goes blink, 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 blink.
Oh,
so yeah. Laughing. I was like, well, we got the driveline. It's a 2-piece driveline. No, driveline's intact. I was like, well, we must have got an axle. So I ended up, it backed up. I put it on the side of the house again, thank God, and dug into everything and it ended up exploding the differential. So I got the shot, but it exploded the differential and it come to find out that's an 8-on-5 wheel. It's a special HD 70 Dana rear end and it has a special carrier. So I found like the only one in the whole nation through like a driveline place that worked for like a month and a half to find this thing. And then I still had to machine it. And I dropped the gears in and set all the gears and stuff in my driveway here. And then I've been driving it ever since. But I told everybody else, like, well, it's for events. Like if sponsors need it for events, I'll drive it wherever you want. But I'm sick of tearing up my motorhome I'm supposed to sleep in doing burnouts. So
So what's the inside like on this thing? Because that's man, this is my ultimate goal is to build something like this.
So it's all there. It's all done. So everything works. We try to add a little bit every time I go to places. So I'm definitely afraid of fire in it because there's only one entrance and exit and it's in the front. Right. And I'm putting my family in this thing. It's made of wood. I feel like if you light a match, the whole thing's gonna be like a cartoon where it just goes black and then there's no motorhome. And so I took all the fire out of it. So I don't have a heater in there. And then I took the water heater out. So we did an electric water heater. So I took the generator, the Onan out because a carburetor costs as much as just buying a Harbor Freight generator. So I've got a quiet Harbor Freight inverter generator. I've got an electric water heater. It's got a microwave. We got a toaster was the new upgrade. The AC is in it and works. I need to service it, but I was having an issue with it. But the AC is there. Running water, new toilet, shower, everything works and it will do a burnout. And I have video to prove it, but I'm not going to sit there and keep beating it down. But yeah. And then we use it for camping. I mean, we go on a week-long camping adventure every year with the family. I take it to LS Fest West, and I would love to take it back to like LS Fest East or like a bigger event. But it just chews up the fuel. So, I mean, if I got help to go and do it, I don't mind taking the RV, but it's hard, man. I mean, just to get to Vegas and back every year, it's worth it because you have to pay for the room, but to go cross country, it would take me forever. And she likes to go. It's got the lockup in it, but it goes 62 is like the sweet spot. Faster than that, you feel like you're hitting warp speed and it starts rattling and shimmying. And slower than that, you're just never going to get to your destination.
Yeah.
Reggie Moore here said, I'm calling you out for the 2026 season. We got to run these 2 Winnebagos at some point.
Yeah, there's some really trick Winnebagos. So one of my ideas is I want to find a local guy, and I think I have a guy, but I need to reach back out to him. And I want to trade him a drive. I want to drive a stock one because I've never driven a stock Winnebago. And then I'm going to let him drive mine just to get his reaction. Obviously go somewhere out in the open so you don't murder people with it, but it's fun, man.
That's awesome. What trans is in it?
480E.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been one of my Achilles heels with my race car. Because I do everything myself on my channel. Transmission building is one of them. So I got proficient enough with the Power Glide. That's what got me through Race Week 1.0. But then I realized with the heat and everything else that the 480 is kind of the jam, like the way to go. So I got into doing those, and it's been a struggle, but I finally feel confident enough that we're going to be able to get over the hump and put something together that has some steam in it. So my boy, Joe, shout out to War Performance. Him and Jason are going to 2.0, I believe.
Nice.
And Joe roached his transmission, and then I broke Jason's, but the one I built, I think we found the problem with it. So Joe's going to go test that for me on 2.0. So
nice.
Yeah. So
That's
if you see the
awesome.
Brown Trevell and he has transmission issues, it's not my fault.
That's funny. Well, man, let's kind of wind the show down. I want to again say thank you so much for hanging out tonight. This has been awesome. We typically don't go over 2 hours, and I think you're definitely a guest that gave us
I'll go
great
all-
reasons to do that, man. I
I'll go
love
all
it.
night, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and hey, listen, we're going to do that at some point. We're going to do a 4 or 5 hour hangout session live stream and just talk to some people. But give everybody again where they can find you, what your kind of schedule is, what all that stuff brings you out and about.
All right. Well, you can find me on the Burn Down YouTube channel is where I'm most prevalent, where I'm most active. I do have the other social media platforms. You can get a hold of me on Bomb Squad is my Facebook group. My name is Dane Paul Thompson on all my other social medias. I don't have the quirky, weird, fun name like I'm just me all the time. This is what I do. So I don't have like, a stage name or nothing like that. So I'm pretty easy to find. As far as events go, I do LS Fest West is like my home event. And that's usually pre to Rocky Mountain Race Week. And that's the other big drag and drive event. And I did talk to Matt. It was great that I got a chance to talk with him a little bit before the event started, before he was really, wore out from the event. And I told him, I said, as long as he puts that event on, that's my number one event that I'll go to. I would love to branch off and do like Redwood Rally or some other event. And then in the future, like I said, I want to host a drive day event because that's free and I can figure that out. And I want to make it official, not just like, oh, hey, let's do this. Like I'm going to bring my camera. I want to film the adventure. I'm going to bring the war guys out. So we'll have parts on hand, like we'll have our little rolling parts truck to help people and just start there, like get our toes wet. So that'll be my first kind of event, unofficial, official event. Right. And then in the future, everybody keeps bugging me to try to string something together over here in Southern California, but I don't know if I'm brave enough yet, but maybe I can tag along with some other promotion and maybe rent a lane or something. I think would be a good way to get involved. We have a thing called Match Race Madness where it's pretty cool. They match up cars based on the time and ETs, and then they do a best 2 out of 3. So they'll make 3 runs back to back, and it's grudge racing, right? Well, I was talking to my boy Jason. I said, there isn't any reason we couldn't rent a lane, sponsor part of the event, and then have like a no trailer or like you drive to the event, and then it's like a drag and drive true street, style event, but no trailers. And then you're doing a best 2 out of 3. And it would be cool because the car's there, it just get their feet wet. Like I said, I think there needs to be feeder events. Like we went to, back with what we were talking about previously is feeder events that feed the national events. Everybody wants to go to the big stage, but half the time, hell, get your stuff running well enough that you should be there, because a lot of people, maybe it is bucket list. It's a one-off thing. Yeah. You want to have your best show and you want to feel like you did good. It's a big letdown, disappointment when, race car happens, man. Look at me.
Yeah.
So you don't always, it doesn't always go your way. And if it's just a one and done thing, get yourself prepared and get out there and let's go do it.
Well, and one thing we've seen too is regional events allow us drag and drive racers to maybe add an extra event to your year. You're not maybe just having to do that one event a year, but when they're so spread out like they are now, there's still so many parts of the country we haven't even touched. Just anyways, 420 tracks in the U.S. That operate right now, and we operate at 80 of them maybe.
Right.
Well, I think too, with having as many regionals as we have now, like there's so many events, right? That's a great starting point, but the reality is a lot of those are going to fizzle away, but the cream rises to the top, just like everything else. That's good YouTube advice, by the way, too. If you want to start a YouTube channel, start one, right? And just suck at it, but just do it because you enjoy it and you'll get somewhere with it, right? That's all I do. I just keep throwing stuff against the wall, but eventually you kind of get your bearings and figure it out. And same thing with these regional events. There'll be enough of them. A lot of them will fold up. A lot of them won't make money, but the ones that persist are going to be the events. And then, like I said, if promoters are willing to work with each other, and again, I don't know the behind the scenes. I know the Frost this much, and they're super kind to me. I love them both, and hopefully I can work with them and help promote the event. Like I said, I'm trying to drag my sponsors to their stuff and like connect the dots. I love connecting industry people when I can. But but I'd like to keep that event well and going because I love that stage and style and size. But then like a Redwood Rally, they're on their second event, I think this year. Well, hell, by next year, if they do that big event, I might have enough time to get out to that one. Then they're already established. They kind of know their stuff. And then maybe you bring Eyeballs. It's the third time, it's their sophomore album or whatever.
Yep.
Maybe they get some traction. You kind of get, because you got to bring the people and the eyeballs and everything else like we talked about, but they got to be established enough and know that they want to be around before a guy like me pours effort in, because it costs me gas money and everything to go there just like everybody else. So you have to want to go. So there's got to be a reason.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Well, thank you very much. Stay with us. I want to talk to you after this. But we got to close the show down because we got some cool stuff coming up next week too. So hang tight.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Dude, how fun. And who would have known that I needed to set my phone up on a hotspot the whole time? Eric White knew that. Hey, listen, it was great for a while, man. It's frustrating, man. Frustrating. I'm just glad that I have such a great co-host that Fro messaged me and said, dude, he's like, Eric is the man. He's a champ. So I appreciate you doing that. Well,
I appreciate it.
This episode's been awesome, man. We've had a lot of great people on it. Typically we don't do 3 guests simply because we end up talking and running way over. But again, like I told Dane, I think this is worth it. The conversations we're having, the stuff that went over tonight. But guys, next week is going to be really cool. We've got some folks that are going to be on that. I don't know if you guys have known, but there's a new racetrack trying to take the place of Palm Beach International in Florida. And so they had a big community meeting yesterday. We're waiting on an update on that. And then we're also going to have kind of some folks that are involved in that a little bit on the show next week to talk more about that and kind of see what's happening with all of that. Right. So it's not just a drag strip. It's like a road course, autocross, drift pad, all this kind of stuff they're trying to build. They've been working on it since Palm Beach closed. And so I think that's going to be a great conversation. And then we have Carl Stansel of Drop the Hammer. He's going to be on, and he's announcing something huge for 2025. Yes. This is going to be really, really cool. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be on next week. And I'm not going to say any more about that, but it's going to be really neat. I'm pumped about next week's show, and who knows what will happen in the next week. I mean, in the last week, Brett LaSala's built a brand new car.
Oh, right. Literally.
Yeah. And, the thing about having 3 guests on is we really didn't get to talk a lot of news and community stuff within the community. So the news this Saturday morning that's live is going to be just banging. I'm already making notes for it. It's going to be jam-packed. We are literally going to just hammer through a lot of information there that we didn't get to do this week. Thank you again to Dragway Rush, Chris, for being on. They will be hosting. That event kicks off on Friday. I'm excited to see that and see how that works out. And, hey, I think he's probably smart enough to do more events, and we'll see. I don't know. I'm really excited for him to do that. But Eric, you want to lead us out, dude?
Absolutely. Thank you to everybody that's been watching tonight. All of our guests, you guys are our race car friends. Now that we got the website up, we're looking to do some special stuff there too for the race car friends. So stay tuned. We've been working through some stuff, trying to get details nailed out on how we can move forward on that stuff. And of course, thanks to all of our sponsors that help us go to these events, do coverage, help me upload so far 950 photos from the Havlicks event and literally probably 2,000 more to go through. So thanks Summit Racing Equipment, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Chains 3D, WAF Racing, Performabuilt Transmission, Howard's Cam with the new t-shirt, Sweet Patina, Racing Junk, and our media partner, PowerTube TV. We will see you guys on episode 80 of the Drag Drive Repeat Show.
See you guys.